Chapter 34. In the quiet video room, Luo Feng held a cup of hot tea and took a sip. His gaze landed on the gigantic screen on the wall of the video room. 20 million Chinese dollars? Sure enough, the money promised by the Dojo of Limits has arrived. At the top of the web page, there was a row of buttons. One of them was flashing, and there was a line of words on it. You have 2 new emails. Luo Feng's finger lightly tapped on the wireless keyboard and opened the mailbox. Hua! When he opened the first email, a video immediately appeared. Hello, Mr. Luo Feng. A middle-aged man wearing a black suit appeared on the gigantic screen and smiled. I am Chief Zhu Ji's assistant. I'm sure you've seen the 20 million that the chief promised. As for technique, blade, and Dao Yin techniques manuals, you can directly purchase them through the internal network as long as the price doesn't exceed 100 million. The internal network will reimburse you and won't deduct a single cent. If the price exceeds 100 million, Mr. Luo Feng will have to pay for the excess. At the same time, on behalf of the chief, I congratulate Mr. Luo Feng on passing the fighter combat exam. After saying that, the video ended. The Dojo of Limits treats me pretty well. Luo Feng opened the second email. It was also a video. Respected new fighter Luo Feng, hello. I represent the Dojo of Limits in welcoming you to our big family. A sweet-looking girl smiled. This is the first time you've entered the Dojo of Limits internal network. Home of Limits. Let me introduce you to the uses of the Home of Limits. First, in the Home of Limits, you can purchase all sorts of weapons, Dao Yin techniques, technique manuals, attack type manuals like blade techniques, spear techniques, sword techniques, etc. There are also hot weapons, transportation tools, protective gear, communication systems, special bombs, special medicine, genetic medicine, and even some special materials and treasures. As long as you have enough money, you can buy them all. Once you pay, the goods will be delivered within 24 hours. Through the Home of Limits, you can even ask a warlord-level fighter, or even a war god-level fighter, to teach you one-on-one through the internet. Similarly, you have to pay enough money. The girl in the video smiled. If you have enough contribution points, then the prices of the above items will be halved. Luo Feng was shocked. Half? If he had enough contribution points, he would only need 50 million to buy an item that was worth 100 million. Contribution points were really useful. However, his current contribution points were only 0. There are many uses for contribution points, not just for purchasing items. For example, once your contribution points reach a certain level, you can call upon the Dojo of Limits special teams, etc. The girl in the video smiled. The more contribution points you have, the higher your position in the Dojo of Limits will be. You'll also have more power and benefits. There are 2 main ways to earn contribution points. One is to kill monsters and harvest an important material from the monster's body. Sell this important material to the Dojo of Limits. You can earn money and contribution points. The second is to donate to the Dojo of Limit. The more money you donate, the more contribution points you get. Currently, the ratio was: donating 10,000 Chinese dollars would earn you 1 contribution point. In the donation system, the minimum donation was 10 million yuan, and martial artists could donate up to 100 billion yuan. In other words, the maximum number of contribution points you can get through the donation system is 10 million points. Luo Feng took in a deep breath. What the hell? There's a limit to donations? I can donate up to 100 billion? And the Dojo of Limits won't accept that much? It was 100 billion yuan. It seemed like the richest person in China on the Forbes list only had a little more than 100 billion yuan in asset. The wealthiest person in the world on the Forbes list only has 120 billion US dollars, which is equivalent to 420 billion Chinese dollars. Of course, the Forbes list only shows some of the wealthiest people in the world. For example, some of the wealthiest families have more wealth than some of the wealthiest people in the world. But that's the accumulation of their entire family. Mr. Luofeng, let me remind you that killing monsters is the best way to earn contribution points. Not only can you earn contribution points, but you can also earn money, laughed the girl in the video. You have some money right now, so please don't buy it immediately. You can enter the Fighter Forum's information section and carefully read up on some basic knowledge of fighters. This will be very beneficial for you when choosing manuals and buying weapons. Finally, I wish Mr. Luofeng all the best in our Dojo of Limits family and reach the pinnacle of fighters. After saying that, the girl in the video bowed and the video ended. Luofeng was shocked as he listened. The Dojo of Limits internal network, the home of limits, is indeed very useful. The thing that attracts Luofeng the most is that he can use money to directly invite warlord or even war god level fighters to teach him one-on-one. Even though he has 20 million Chinese dollars, Luofeng wasn't in a rush to buy weapons and other items. Instead, he wanted to familiarize himself with the Home of Limits internal network. The Home of Limits website has many functions. It's split into many sections, such as accepting missions, posting missions, chatting with guests, training sections, and donation systems. However, the two sections that attract Luofeng the most are the Fighter Forum and the Internet Marketplace. The Internet Marketplace has everything. All sorts of Dao-in techniques, agility instruction manuals, blade instruction manuals, hot weapons, cold weapons, genetic medicine, etc. In short, the Internet Marketplace is a place to spend money. Fighter Forum, Luofeng entered the forum and then entered the Basic Fighter Knowledge Database subforum. In this subforum, there weren't any replies. There was only a large amount of basic information. Spirit Reader, Spirit Reader. Luofeng kept flipping through the pages, looking for information on spirit readers. Finally, HM? That's it, Luofeng saw a post. Simple descriptions of spirit readers. Brothers, I see that you guys don't know much about spirit readers, so I'll give you a simple introduction. Luofeng laughed when he saw this first sentence. Clearly, this so-called Fighter Forum database is just a collection of posts written by many fighters and isn't official information. Spirit readers can be said to be the most feared group of people in the circle of fighters. First of all, you can't become a spirit reader just by training. Every spirit reader is talented and awakened on their own. The post's description was very colloquial. When they haven't awakened, they might just be normal fighters. But when they awaken, then they become powerful. How powerful? First of all, spirit readers are split into two types. One type of spirit reader controls objects. In other words, they control things like spikes and throwing knives to attack from afar. Spirit readers can control objects from afar, which is much more powerful than some heavy sniper rifle bullet. A sniper rifle bullet's trajectory is pretty much a straight line, and the weapons controlled by spirit readers don't have any pattern. Besides the pattern, the damage is also different. For example, heavy machine guns and heavy sniper rifles have limited damage. Even the best sniper rifles have a hard time killing a low-level commander-level monster. However, the power of a spirit reader's spikes and flying knives increases with their spirit reader's power. There are quite a few spirit readers who can kill horde leader-level monsters among spirit readers, besides those who can control objects. The second type is to directly attack the monster's soul. This type is a bit more mysterious. It directly attacks the monster's soul. Once it succeeds, the monster's body won't be harmed at all, but it will immediately die. However, attacking the soul is a bit difficult. Apparently, there are very, very few spirit readers who know how to use spiritual attacks. Besides controlling objects from afar and spiritual attacks, there are other types of spirit readers. However, I'm not too sure about them. Luofeng looked at every word, not daring to miss a single sentence. Actually, what I'm most jealous of is the speed at which spirit readers improve. Spirit reader masters were born with extremely powerful spirit reader powers. However, when they were young, their bodies couldn't handle such powerful spiritual force, so they hid it in their subconscious. When their fitness level gets stronger and stronger, they reach a certain level. Then, their spiritual force will appear. The stronger your fitness level, the more spiritual force you can handle. Fighters are divided into the warrior level, beginner, intermediate, advanced, warrior level, beginner, intermediate, advanced, war god level, beginner, intermediate, advanced, a total of 9 levels. The difference between your fitness level and your spiritual force is 2 levels. If your body is at the beginner warrior level, then your spiritual force is at the advanced warrior level. If your body is at the intermediate warrior level, then your spiritual force is at the beginner warlord level. Spirit readers have a period of rapid increase in strength. Because they were born with extremely powerful spiritual force, it's just that it always hides in their subconscious. As your body gets stronger, the hidden spiritual force will appear more. As your body gets stronger, your spiritual force gets stronger. Until one day, all of the hidden spiritual force is unearthed. At this time, the spirit reader's increase in strength will become extremely slow. Luo Feng froze when he saw this part. So, when a spirit reader increases in strength, it's actually unearthing the hidden spiritual force. Only with a strong enough body can you handle enough spiritual force. So, the potential of a spirit reader depends on how much spiritual force is hidden in their subconscious. Some of the hidden spiritual force exists in a liquid form, while others exist in a liquid and solid form. Some exist in a completely solid form. Legend has it that in the subconscious, if the hidden spiritual force condenses into a solid form, it means that the spiritual force is extremely powerful. It's the group of people with the highest potential in the spiritual force community. As their fitness level increases, the spiritual force in the solid form will continuously be released, causing their strength to increase, until one day, when the solid form completely disintegrates. Only then will their period of rapid increase in strength end. Luo Feng suppressed the excitement in his heart and continued to read until he finished reading the entire post. After that, Luo Feng flipped through the database and found 2 other posts about spirit readers. The descriptions are pretty much the same. Looks like it's true, Luo Feng nodded. Then, the dark golden ball in my subconscious should be a solid form formed by an extremely large amount of spiritual force. I'm so lucky that I survived after awakening, Luo Feng sighed. According to the 3 posts that he saw, when a spirit reader awakens, their subconscious will instantly explode with an extremely large amount of spiritual force. If the awakening fails, they can become an idiot, a vegetable, or even die from bleeding from their orifices. No wonder my head hurts every day since I was young, and I even fainted a few times, Luo Feng realized. Looks like my body is too weak, and my spiritual force is too strong. My body can't handle it, which is why my head hurts. And as my body fitness level increases, this headache keeps decreasing. Now, it's completely gone. Ever since Luo Feng awakened, his headache has completely disappeared. The dark golden ball is actually a solid form formed by spiritual force. I wonder just how much spiritual force it contains. Luo Feng couldn't help but to guess. Chapter 35. Luo Feng flipped through a lot of posts in the fighter forum, such as 50 questions for a fighter to kill a monster, wilderness survival knowledge, how to avoid provoking a commander-level monster, 28 ways to escape. All sorts of posts made Luo Feng understand a lot. He also understood the hardships of a martial artist. Martial artists had a high status in human society, but that was earned by risking their lives. Yes, these posts make sense. Movement techniques, offensive techniques, and dowing techniques are the most important to a martial artist. The dowing technique determined the improvement of a martial artist's strength, and one's technique and attacks determine a fighter's battle strength. Luo Feng also agreed after reading the thread. These 3 secret manuals were the most important to a martial artist. If you have money, you should spend it on these 3 areas. No wonder the Dojo of Limits promised to let me buy these 3 instruction manuals for free. Luo Feng also knew that the Dojo of Limits wanted their people to be strong. Let's enter the online shopping mall to take a look. Luo Feng tapped on the wireless keyboard and entered the web store page. Suddenly, the gigantic screen on the recording room's wall displayed all sorts of detailed item categories. Luo Feng selected instruction manuals, attack type, and clicked 3 times. Suddenly, the screen showed pictures of instruction manuals, along with their names and prices. Armageddon type, spear technique evaluation, ultimate, price, 100 billion Chinese dollars, full price, 50 billion Chinese dollars, half price, requirement, 4-star contribution points, 9-fold Thunderblade type, blade technique, evaluation, ultimate, price, 100 billion Chinese dollars, full price, 50 billion Chinese dollars, half price, requirement, 4-star contribution points, phantom blade technique, type, blade technique, evaluation, SS price, 10 billion Chinese dollars, full price, 5 billion Chinese dollars, half price, requirement, 3-star contribution points, fog sword type, sword technique grade, S price, 3 billion Chinese dollars, full price, 5 billion Chinese dollars, half price, requirement, 3-star contribution points. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed as he looked at the huge list of instruction manuals. Heavens, the world's strongest martial artist, Hong's spear art Armageddon is also being sold? This 9-stage Thunderblade belongs to the second strongest person in the world, God of Thunder? Luo Feng was immediately captivated by the ultimate spear technique and blade technique at the very top. But the price at the back made him dumbfounded. Full price of 100 billion? The half price was 50 billion, and the requirement for the half price was to have 4-star contribution points? 4-star contribution points, that means 10 million contribution points? Luo Feng was very clear about the classification of contribution points. Once the contribution points reached 10,000, they would be promoted to 1 star. When one's contribution points reached 100,000, they would be ranked as 2 stars. When the contribution points reached 1 million, they would be promoted to 3 stars. Once the contribution points reached 10 million, they would be ranked 4 stars. 50 million contribution points was the legendary 5-star contribution point. It was almost impossible to reach 5 stars. The difficulty was too high. Armageddon is known as the world's #1 offensive technique. Luo Feng clicked on Destroyer and opened it. He curiously looked at the introduction of Destroyer. After all, this is the strongest spear technique on Earth. Most fighters who read this instruction manual would probably look at the introduction. Luo Feng stared. Surprisingly, there were many offers on the Armageddon manual. Armageddon, all 6 levels, price, 100 billion Chinese dollars, full price, 50 billion Chinese dollars, half price. Requirements, 4-star contribution point. Armageddon, first 5 levels, price, 40 billion Chinese dollars, full price, 20 billion Chinese dollars, half price. Requirements, 4-star contribution point. Armageddon, first 4 levels, price, 15 billion Chinese dollars, full price, 5 billion Chinese dollars, half price. Requirements, 3-star contribution point. Armageddon, first level, price, 200 million Chinese dollars, full price, 100 million Chinese dollars, half price. Requirements, 1-star contribution point. What, this instruction manual can be split and sold? Luo Feng thought about it carefully. That's right. If an ultimate spear technique like Armageddon were to be sold, who could afford it? The price would be astronomical. Also, even if someone bought it, they would have to start training from the first level. How many fighters can train to the 6th level? Most fighters would probably only be able to train to the first level in their entire lives and would never be able to break through to the second level. This ultimate instruction manual, no wonder it's the attack technique of the world's strongest fighter. Luo Feng stared at the introduction. Who would have thought that this spear technique would have a movement technique as well? Buying this instruction manual is the same as buying both the agility instruction manual and the attack instruction manual. Luo Feng was indeed tempted. Sadly, 1. He's a blade user. 2. He can't afford it at that price. 9-stage Thunderblade, an ultimate instruction manual just like Armageddon. Luo Feng immediately opened the 9-stage Thunderblade webpage. If Luo Feng was looking at the Armageddon instruction manual out of curiosity, then Luo Feng was looking at the 9-stage Thunderblade manual. Now that he's looking at the 9-stage Thunderblade manual, Luo Feng was looking forward to it. 9-stage Thunderblade, this is the instruction manual that every blade user wants the most. Luo Feng carefully looked at the introduction. The introduction said that this 9-stage Thunderblade is the hardest technique to learn in the world. Even though it's called a blade technique, it also has a movement technique. And it has a unique Dao Yin technique. The reason why the 9-stage Thunderblade is hard to learn is because it has extremely high requirements for the body's strength, muscle sensitivity, etc. A blade technique that has a movement technique and Dao Yin technique? Luo Feng was overjoyed. If the price is right, I can buy it. Luo Feng carefully looked at the price. 9-stage Thunderblade, all 9 stages. Price, 100 billion Chinese dollars, full price, 50 billion Chinese dollars, half price. Requirement, 4-star contribution points. 9-stage Thunderblade, first 8 stages. Price, 50 billion Chinese dollars, full price, 25 billion Chinese dollars, half price. Requirement, 4-star contribution points. 9-stage Thunderblade, first 5 stages. Price, 2 billion Chinese dollars, full price, 1 billion Chinese dollars, half price. Requirement, 3-star contribution points. 9-stage Thunderblade, first 4 stages. Price, 500 million Chinese dollars, full price, 250 million Chinese dollars, half price. Requirement, 2-star contribution points. 9-stage Thunderblade, first 3 stages. Price, 200 million Chinese dollars, full price, 100 million Chinese dollars, half price. Requirement, 2-star contribution points. 9-stage Thunderblade, first 2 stages. Price, 100 million Chinese dollars, full price, 50 million Chinese dollars, half price. Requirement, 2-star contribution points. 9-stage Thunderblade, first stage. Price, 50 million Chinese dollars, full price, 25 million Chinese dollars, half price. Requirement, 1-star contribution points. Luo Feng looked at the price. Clearly, the 9-stage Thunderblade has 9 stages, so it's clearly cheaper than the Armageddon. Luo Feng frowned. At the bottom of the web page, there was an eye-catching red notification. 9-stage Thunderblade is an ultimate blade technique. It's extremely difficult to learn, and extremely difficult to learn. Countless fighters choose this blade technique, but they can't even learn the first stage. Please choose this blade technique carefully. Luo Feng looked at the notification and hesitated. Clearly, this blade technique is extremely difficult to learn, but once it's learned, it's extremely powerful. Should I buy it or not? Since it's not a small amount. In the dark recording room, the large screen displayed the introduction of the 9-stage Thunderblade. Luo Feng sat quietly on the sofa thinking by himself. If he really wants to buy the 9-stage Thunderblade, it's not a small amount. Even for fighters, this amount of money is astronomical. If I'm going to learn it, I'll learn the best. Luo Feng clenched his teeth and his eyes lit up. I don't believe that I can't learn it. Ever since he was young, Luo Feng has always worked hard. I'm a spirit reader, and the spiritual force hidden in my realm of consciousness has formed into a dark golden ball. My strength will increase by leaps and bounds. I don't believe that I can't learn the 9-stage Thunderblade. Luo Feng has always had a belief, which is also what the Dojo of Limits teaches its students. Pursue the limit and surpass the limit. There's another saying, if you don't want to be the world's #1 fighter, then you're not a qualified fighter. I'll definitely learn the 9-stage Thunderblade. Luo Feng took in a deep breath and lightly tapped the screen. Please confirm if you want to buy the first 3 stages of the 9-stage Thunderblade. You need to pay 100 million Chinese dollars. A notification appeared on the screen. This is Luo Feng's first purchase. According to the contract between him and the Dojo of Limits, the first time he buys an attack technique, agility technique, or blade technique, he doesn't have to pay any contribution points and can enjoy the best price. Confirm. Luo Feng tap. Please pass fingerprint verification and confirm again. A notification appeared on the screen. Luo Feng placed his finger on the fingerprint detector on the wireless keyboard. Beep. Fingerprint verification completed. Purchase successful. Deduction successful. The first 3 stages of the 9-stage Thunderblade will be delivered to Mr. Luo Feng's home within 24 hours. A notification appeared on the screen. Chapter 36. Luckily, according to my contract with the Dojo of Limits, the first time I buy, I can ignore the contribution point limit and buy at the best price. Luo Feng felt his heart racing. He couldn't help it. This is a whole 100 million Chinese dollars. Buying Zhang Haobai's villa would be a piece of cake. What's more, Luo Feng's family hasn't been doing well financially. Spending 100 million at once, you can imagine how he feels. Good thing it's not my money, Luo Feng grinned. After successfully buying the instruction manual, the next step is to buy weapons, battle uniforms, etc. I have 20 million to start with, so I'll save as much as I can. Luo Feng opened the list of weapons and quickly found the Ghost Blade No. 2 series. Ghost Blade No. 2 series, A1. Price: 100,000 Chinese dollars, full price, 50,000 Chinese dollars, half price. Requirement: 1 contribution point. Ghost Blade No. 2 series, A2. Price: 500,000 Chinese dollars, full price, 250,000 Chinese dollars, half price. Requirement: 1 contribution point. No. 2 series, A5. Price: 6 million Chinese dollars, full price, 3 million Chinese dollars, half price. Requirement: 1 star contribution point. Luo Feng carefully looked at the descriptions of the various models and couldn't help but to frown. My strength is increasing very quickly. I believe that soon, my body fitness level will reach the advanced warrior level. Since I'm buying a weapon, I naturally have to buy a good one. If it's a regular beginner level warrior, usually you just have to buy an A2 or A3. The contribution point here is 1, and you only need to donate $10,000 to get it. Actually, this so-called 1 contribution point is used to differentiate between the fighters inside the dojo and the fighters outside. Since the Dojo of Limits has an internal network, the Home of Limits online market, they also have a real fighter market. Fighters from other forces can also buy it, and fighters from other forces can only buy it at full price. With my strength increasing speed, I need to at least buy an A5 or A6 Ghost Blade. Luo Feng shook his head. However, this model requires 1 star contribution point. 1 star, that's 10,000 contribution points. When he bought the instruction manual, he could ignore the contribution point requirement and buy it at the best price. This kind of discount only exists when buying the instruction manual for the first time. However, when buying weapons, battle uniforms, etc., there's no such discount. Blood Shadow Saber A6, full price 20 million. The full price of the A5 model is 6 million. Luo Feng shook his head. The A5 model can fight against most medium-level commander monsters without worrying about the weapon breaking. A6 model weapons can fight against most high-level beast general monsters without worrying about the weapon breaking. With the speed at which he was improving his strength, Low-model weapons were obviously not suitable for him. Full price? Too expensive. Luo Feng shook his head. Look at the shield. Luo Feng opened up the shield's page and looked carefully. The price of a shield was much cheaper than a blade. The B5 model, which could also defend against Lieutenant General Beast Generals, had a full price of 3 million Chinese dollars and a half price of 1,500,000 Chinese dollars. However, the contribution requirement was still 1 star. Backpack. When surviving in the wild and fighting with monsters, the backpacks carried were also special equipment. First of all, the quality of the backpack itself had to be good. Secondly, it was suitable for the cultivator to fight with monsters. It could not affect the cultivator's movements. Backpacks are the cheapest. They only require 1 contribution point. A good one would only cost 100,000 inch. Luo Feng let out a smile. Battle tactical communications watches have satellite positioning, time, phone calls, and many other functions. The price is okay too, also 100,000. Actually, those functions weren't worth much. A cell phone on the market that costs a few hundred has functions like making calls, time, and satellite positioning. The reason why the tactical communications watch costs 100,000 is because of the expensive material. When fighting with monsters, a monster's claw might touch the tactical communications watch. How could the watch be cheap if it was sturdy enough to defend against a monster's attack? Blade, shield, watch, backpack, I've seen them all. The only thing left is the full battle uniform set, including the boots. Luo Feng heard that a battle uniform set is usually the most expensive piece of equipment a fighter has, because the battle uniform set not only has to have good defense, but it also has to be comfortable and not affect the fighter's quick movement. Luo Feng opened it and looked. Holy! So expensive! Luo Feng was completely dumbfounded. Even the D5 series battle uniform set, which can defend against a medium-level commander, along with the arm guards and boots, costs 18 million Chinese dollars at full price. Even half price is 9 million Chinese dollars. The full price of the D6 is 80 million Chinese dollars. He already knew that battle uniforms were expensive, but he didn't think that the 5th series battle uniform set was 3 times more expensive than a blade of the same level. Now that he calculated, with the same set of 5 series, the battle uniform set is 18 million, the ghost blade is 6 million, and the shield is 3 million, for a total of 27 million. If he had a 1-star contribution star, then he would only need 13.5 million. As for the battle watch and backpack, they're nothing compared to the battle uniform set, etc. I also want to buy throwing knives that can be controlled by my spiritual force. At the very least, I need to buy 6 or 10 of them. Luo Feng opened the page for throwing knives again. Throwing knives are small toys. They're small, and their weight is even smaller. Naturally, the price of throwing knives is much cheaper than the ghost blade. The full price of a 5th series throwing knife is only 50,000 Chinese dollars. The full price of a 6th series throwing knife is only 300,000 Chinese dollars. The full price of a 7th series throwing knife is 3 million Chinese dollars. Half price is 1.5 million Chinese dollars. Requirement: 2-star contribution star. That's a full 10 times increase. A 7th series throwing knife, if it's strong enough, can completely damage a low-level horde leader monster. The difference between a commander and a horde leader is huge. Luo Feng didn't think that the difference between the prices of these weapons would be so huge. My spiritual force is very strong, and it's going to grow very quickly. I originally wanted to buy a 7th series throwing knife, but one costs 3 million, and the half-price requirement is a 2-star contribution star. If I buy 5 or 6 of them, it'll cost around 10 million. Where can I even afford it? This amount of money isn't even enough to spend. Luo Feng originally thought that 20 million was a lot, but now he realized that the price of a fighter's equipment is ridiculously high. Actually, Luo Feng didn't know that the price of these equipment isn't ridiculously high. Keep in mind that even a missile can't kill a horde leader monster. For a throwing knife to be able to pierce through it, one can imagine how high the quality of the throwing knife itself is. A throwing knife for 3 million Chinese dollars is a reasonable price range. Actually, fighters spend a lot of money to buy weapons. However, after they kill powerful monsters, the money they earn will also be quite good. Sadly, Luo Feng hasn't started earning money yet. Around 10 a.m. on the second day, Mingyue Sector, Luo Feng's private garden. A stranger arrived. Mr. Luo Feng, this is the instruction manual you bought. You can open it with your fingerprint. Luo Feng received the sealed alloy box and swiped his finger across the top of the alloy box. Beep! Fingerprint verified. An electronic sound rang and the alloy box opened, revealing a book that was around a centimeter thick. On top of the book were 2 discs. 9-stage Thunderblade. Luo Feng looked at the 4 words on the book. Mr. Luo Feng, open it and take a look. After confirming it, please sign here, smiled the delivery man. However, his gaze towards Luo Feng contained a bit of envy. 9-stage Thunderblade. Normal fighters can't afford it. Mr. Luo Feng, I'm sure you know the rules for buying instruction manuals, right? Laughed the delivery man. According to the rules, I'll say it again. The copyright of the instruction manual belongs to the creator. The 9-stage Thunderblade belongs to Thunder God. The buyer only has the right to learn it, but not the right to pass it on. You can't copy, sell, or teach the instruction manual. If anyone violates this rule, the Dojo of Limits, the Thunder Dojo, the Underground Alliance, and the government's army will work together to kill you. Luo Feng nodded. Of course he knew this rule. After checking it, the delivery man left. Just 1 instruction manual and 2 discs cost 100 million Chinese dollars. Luo Feng stood in his garden and sighed. Luo Feng stood in his garden and sighed. Creating instruction manuals is still the most profitable. For example, Thunder God's 9-stage Thunderblade. The more people buy it, the more money he earns. After some calculations, it's not hard to imagine just how much money Thunder God earned. However, for Thunder God, who created the Thunder Dojo, money doesn't mean much. Right as Luo Feng was about to enter his house with the instruction manual, Luo Feng, a voice rang. Luo Feng turned his head and saw that the person who came was the chief instructor of the Dojo of Limits, Wu Tong. Uncle Wu, laughed Luo Feng. I just saw the delivery man from headquarters. You bought something? Laughed Wu Tong. Yeah, nodded Luo Feng. 9-stage Thunderblade? Wu Tong saw the 4 words on the cover of the instruction manual in Luo Feng's hand and was shocked. You're actually willing to buy this? Instruction manuals are strictly controlled by the major powers of the world. It's not my money anyway, laughed Luo Feng, and then said helplessly, however, I realize that I really don't have enough money right now. Buying blades, battle uniforms, etc. really costs a lot of money. Oh yeah, Luo Feng, I came here to tell you something. Chief Instructor Wu Tong laughed. Not long ago, was there a young man named Zhang Haobai who offended you? Luo Feng froze. Zhang Haobai? I haven't even had the chance to cause trouble for him yet. Yeah, he tried to find people to break my arms and legs, nodded Luo Feng. It's like this. Zhang Haobai's uncle, Zhang Zhe-hu, is a fighter from the Thunder Dojo. He asked the chief instructor of the Thunder Dojo in Yangzhou City to help him out. He's prepared to settle this privately, laughed Chief Instructor Wu Tong. Luo Feng, aren't you short on money? This is an opportunity to make money. You can take this opportunity to earn a lot. Chapter 37. Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat. In the database of the Home of Limits Warrior Forum, there were many posts about the grudges between warriors. For example, in China, fighters are under the control of the government in the 6 headquarters cities and are bound by the law. However, once you leave the headquarters cities and enter the monster's territory, you won't be bound by the law. That's a place where fighters and monsters kill each other, a place where there are no laws. Fighters walk on the edge of life and death, so it's not rare for them to have conflicts and kill each other. And the dojos and governments don't want to see this. Fighters are humanity's wealth. They are humanity's greatest weapon against the monsters. They don't want fighters to lose too much in internal conflict. So there's the saying of internal negotiations and private negotiations. If everyone has grudges, then we can sit at the negotiating table and settle our grudges. If we can't negotiate, then that's another story. Luo Feng, you're just a newbie who just entered the circle of fighters. It's better to have fewer enemies, Chief Instructor Wu Tong laughed. You just started, so you need money, okay? Luo Feng nodded. Private negotiations are the best, Uncle Wu, but we can't let Zhang Haobai go so easily. If I was weak, then I would have had my arms and legs broken. Of course, Wu Tong nodded. If we don't make them bleed once, they'll think that the Dojo of Limits is afraid of them. Uncle Wu, how much should I ask for? Luo Feng asked. He doesn't really understand the rules, so it's better to ask first. Wu Tong sighed and said, if the person who messed with you is a normal person, then don't ask for more than 50 million Chinese dollars. And Luo Feng, you're an elite of our dojo, so you can't ask for less. At least 10 million Chinese dollars. Between 10 million and 50 million, you can just name a number. Okay, Luo Feng thought and nodded. If you agree, then I'll tell them to meet tonight, laughed Wu Tong. Okay, thanks Uncle Wu, smiled Luo Feng as he nodded. Luo Feng went back and put away the 9-stage Thunderblade instruction manual. He entered the Home of Limits intranet and carefully searched for private negotiations between fighters. Oh, so that's how it is. This compensation even has to do with face. Luo Feng read through many posts and finally had a plan for tonight's negotiation. Little Feng, it's time to eat. Mother Gong Xian Lan's voice came from downstairs. Coming, Mom. Luo Feng turned off the power and immediately went downstairs. In the living room downstairs, father and mother were holding their bowls of rice, and one of the nannies was cooking. Where's Luo Hua? Asked Luo Feng in confusion. Still not back. As of now, the family hired 2 nannies, both middle-aged women around 40 years old. One was to take care of his younger brother, Luo Hua. After all, Luo Hua had many things that were inconvenient for him. With someone taking care of him, he could go out more often. Your brother is at the Lotus Lake Park. I just called him and he will be here soon. Luo Hongua smiled. Why has brother been going to the park a lot these days? Asked Luo Feng curiously. Beside him, his mother, Gong Xian Lan, laughed softly. Little Feng, your brother has a girlfriend. Dating? Luo Feng was shocked. Even though there are quite a few handicapped people in society nowadays, such as the soldiers who join the army, many of them are handicapped when fighting against monsters. Handicapped people can still date, get married, and have children. However, her brother had only moved in for a month. In such a short amount of time, he's already dating? Feng, don't listen to your mother. Your brother has a girl right now, but he hasn't reached that stage yet. Laughed Luo Hongua. Who cares? My brother dating is a good thing for him. Luo Hongua was still happy. No matter if this relationship succeeds or fails, it's still an experience in life. This is good for her brother. Yangzhou City's Xi'an region, Sky Capital Garden sector. Uncle Zhang Haobai looked at his uncle Zhang Zhe who. These past few days, Zhang Haobai has been living in fear. Even when he sleeps at night, he's afraid that people from the security bureau will come and take him away. Tiger, as long as we can protect Haobai, it's okay for us to suffer a bit, Zhang Zhe Long couldn't help but to say. Big brother, don't worry. Zhang Zhe, who was very tall and muscular. He gave off the feeling that he was a ferocious beast. Zhang Zhe, who grinned, revealing his snow-white teeth. That little bastard Luo Feng, a newbie fighter. He's only fought against the weakest monsters in the military. After becoming a fighter, he knows the rules. He won't mess around. If he really does mess around. Messing around with me, the mountain tiger, is just looking for death. Seeing how confident their uncle was, Zhang Zilong and Zhang Haobai let out a sigh of relief. Alright, leave it to me, I'm going. Zhang Zhe, who waved his hand and headed outside. There was a 6-wheeled heavy modified Hummer parked outside. There was even a person in the car looking out and laughing. Brother, who done? Yeah, let's go and pick up Oldly. After that, we'll go to the limit hall, said Zhang Zhe, who as he got in the car. All right. Rumble. The 6-wheeled Hummer let out a low and powerful sound as it quickly left the Sky Capital Garden sector. Evening, Yangzhou City's Mingyue sector, in a guest room on the 2nd floor of the limit hall. Luo Feng and a group of people were here. Feng, what a coincidence today. Your Uncle Kong and Big Brother Chen are both here today, laughed Wu Tong. Wu Tong laughed loudly. Luo Feng also greeted the 2 people beside him. Of the 2 people beside Wu Tong, one of them was extremely skinny. His face had a scar that almost split his entire face into 2. Just being stared at by him would cause people to feel fear. And the other person had a sturdy body, thick eyebrows, and fierce eyes. One look and you can tell that he's a very passionate person. Big Brother Chen, Uncle Kong, yelled Luo Feng. These 2 weren't ordinary people. Currently, there were a total of 3 warlord-level fighters living in the Extreme Hall in Yangzhou City. They were Chief Instructor Wu Tong, Canon Chengu, and Eagle Blade, Kong Quan. Wu Tong has already retired and no longer fights monsters. Canon Chengu and Eagle Blade, Kong Quan often leave the headquarters city to hunt monsters. These 2 people are the leaders of the fighters in the Mingyue sector. Feng, we all know about your situation. Don't worry, we'll help you out. Laughed Canon Chengu. Fuck, no matter how arrogant the Thunder Dojo's people are, they wouldn't dare to bully us. Ye Eagle Blade Kong Quan slightly nodded. After a while, in the guest room, the people from the Limit Hall and the Thunder Dojo sat on 2 sides. There were around 20 people on the Limit Hall side, while the Thunder Dojo's side only had 8 people. Wu Tong, this is indeed the fault of Hu Zi's nephew, laughed a bearded brute. However, that nephew of his is just a kid. How old is he? What does he know? And he's just a normal person, not a fighter, so there's no need to hold it against him. Oldly, don't talk about useless things, laughed a bearded brute. However, that nephew of his is just a kid. Oldly, don't talk about useless things. Oldly, don't talk about those useless things, laughed Wu Tong as he shook his head. This situation can't be any clearer. You guys came here to settle this privately, right? Zhang Zhe, who, in the fighter circle, is known as Mountain Tiger. The weapon he uses is a gigantic mountain-splitting blade that he holds in both hands. He's known for his bravery and ruthlessness. Chief Wu, Zhang Zhe, who slightly smiled and his gaze landed on Luo Feng. Little Luo should talk about this personally. Little Luo, how do you think we should settle this to your satisfaction? Shut up, Eagle Blade, Kong Quan glared on the side and scolded. Luo Feng is a good brother of our Limit Hall. Little Luo? Only you have the right to call him that, Zhang Zhe, who froze. Eagle Blade Kong Quan is a ruthless person in the fighter circle. Even Zhang Zhe, who doesn't dare to mess with him. Zhang Zhe, who, Mr. Zhang. Luo Feng stood up and slightly smiled. I'm a bit embarrassed to have so many of my brothers come out for this. Actually, if I were to follow my own thoughts. If that Zhang Haobai wants to break my legs, that's a small matter. But if he dares to hit my dad, then he's looking for death. Luo Feng glared as he roared. Zhang Zhe, who was startled. The fighters from the Limit Hall all laughed. This Mountain Tiger Zhang Zhe, who is an experienced fighter. He's now an advanced warrior fighter, only 1 step away from the warlord level. Luo Feng actually dared to glare at him. This caused the fighters from the Limit Hall to feel that this kid Luo Feng is quite brave. Luo Feng, what do you plan on doing? Speak. Zhang Zhe, who was a bit annoyed and his face was ugly. Luo Feng laughed. Zhang Zhe, whose anger? He really didn't care about it. Ignoring the future, Luo Feng's current fitness level is above the intermediate warrior level and is close to the advanced warrior level. As for his spiritual force, according to the difference of 2 ranks between his fitness level and spiritual force, he's at least at the beginner level warlord level. Just one sentence, 50 million Chinese dollars. I, Luo Feng, will give you face and let this go, smiled Luo Feng. You're really asking for too much, 50 million? Zhang Zehu glared. This price is too high, frowned head instructor Li of the Thunder Dojo. Luo Feng slightly smiled and didn't say anything. The price isn't high, smiled head instructor Wu Tong of the Limit Hall. Luo Feng, I'll also give you a price, 5 million. I'll give you 5 million and let this go. Also, give me face. Otherwise, you're not giving me face. Zhang Zehu glared at Luo Feng. 5 million? The people from the Limit Hall also frowned. Just Cannon Chengu and Eagleblade, Kong Quan showed up today. Even if you give them face, you shouldn't give such a low price. If the price is too low, you're not giving them face. Otherwise, I'm not giving you face? Luo Feng also glared. Zhang Zehu, I'll also say this. 50 million, not a single cent less. If you go 1 cent less, then prepare to meet your nephew in the Security Bureau. Chapter 38. Zhang Zehu was so angry that he started laughing. He didn't think that a newbie like Luo Feng wouldn't give him any face. 50 million, and not a single cent less? Zhang Zehu's eyes flashed fiercely, as if he wanted to eat someone alive. Luo Feng didn't care at all. He's seen quite a few posts in the Home of Limits, so he knows that when negotiating, it's taboo to lower one's head. Whoever lowers their head means that they're weaker than the other. And since Luo Feng was the one in the right, logically speaking, if 2 people are of the same status, the one who made the mistake should apologize. But Zhang Ze, who was very arrogant, clearly bullying Luo Feng for being a newbie. Sadly, Luo Feng didn't buy it. All right, listen to me, said the head of the Dojo of Limits, Wu Tong. Luo Feng and Mountain Tiger, both of you take a step back. 30 million Chinese dollars. Zhang Zehu, 30 million Chinese dollars isn't much to you. Take it out and we'll forget about this. Luo Feng, you don't have any objections, right? Luo Feng nodded. We'll do as Uncle Wu says. Mountain Tiger, what about you? Wu Tong looked towards Zhang Zehu. In the entire meeting room, everyone's gazes landed on Zhang Zehu. Zhang Zehu angrily stood up and laughed. You want me to lower my head to this little bastard? Dream on. Old Li brothers, let's go. If you don't agree, then you'll have to pay 100 million to protect your nephew, laughed Wu Tong. I'd rather give the country 100 million than 30 million. Zhang Zehu sneered as he looked at Luo Feng and sneered. Kid, being a fighter isn't that easy. Wait until you leave the headquarters city, and you'll know how scary monsters are. All sorts of dangerous situations can happen suddenly. Monster towns in the military can't compare. The monsters in the military are all raised in captivity, so they're the weakest. I hope you don't die so early, or else how will you play with me in the future? Oh yeah, let me remind you, I'm not too far away from the warlord level. How long will you have to wait to reach the warlord level? And, can you live that long? Luo Feng slightly smiled. Thank you for your concern, Mr. Zhang Zehu. However, you should think about how to prepare 100 million for the country to protect your nephew. Zhang Zehu's face darkened. Let's go. 100 million, 100 million. Cannon Chen Gu purposely shouted. Zhang Zehu's group didn't say much and directly left. Seeing that group of people leave, the people from the Dojo of Limits in the meeting room started to make a ruckus. This Zhang Zehu's temper is really as bad as the rumors say. It was clearly his nephew's fault, but he refused to bow his head. Wu Tong smiled and shook his head. He would rather pay 100 million than settle it with 30 million. The dojo had contribution points, and so did the country. Those who had rendered meritorious service to the country would be given a certain amount of contribution points based on the size of their contribution. If they had 10,000 contribution points, they would be given a 1-star rating. 100,000 points was equivalent to 2 stars. This was the same data as the dojo. Back then, Dong Nanbiao, who had single-handedly slain a strange tiger-headed dragon at the banks of the Yangtze River and sacrificed himself to save hundreds of thousands of civilians, was posthumously awarded the title of a 4-star hero. By donating to the dojo, one could also donate to the country for contribution points. 1 contribution point for 10,000 Chinese dollars. 100 million Chinese dollars was equivalent to 10,000 contribution points, which was equivalent to 1 star. If Zhang Zhe who refused to negotiate with Luo Feng, then the only way was to donate 100 million to the country for his nephew and raise his nephew's contribution points to 1 star. As a 1-star citizen, Zhang Haobai had special privileges. He wouldn't be sentenced for so many years just because of his conflict with Luo Feng. Even if he donated 100 million to the country to raise his nephew to 1-star citizen. But a 1-star citizen dares to fight against fighters. Even if he doesn't get sentenced, he'll still be locked up for 3 to 5 months and suffer. Artillery Chen Gu shook his head. Who can you blame if he refuses to bow his head? He's rich, so he doesn't care, the fighters of the dojo of limits laughed. Luo Feng, Chief Instructor Wu Tong laughed. According to Chief Zhu Ji's orders, I'll arrange for you to enter the warlord-level fighter squad. This way, you'll have an easier time training outside of the city. Your safety will also be guaranteed. I've also helped you negotiate with the Fire Hammer Squad to let you join them. Fire Hammer Squad? Luo Feng slightly nodded. That Chief Zhu Gu indeed values him. From the beginning, he let him join the warlord-level fighter squad. The squads that leave the city and enter the wilderness to hunt monsters have different levels of strength. Generally, if there was one warlord-level martial artist in a small team, it would be considered a warlord-level martial artist team. Luo Feng, Artillery Chen Gu patted Luo Feng's shoulder and laughed. I'm the vice-captain of the Fire Hammer Squad. If you follow me in the future, I'll take care of you. However, Luo Feng, I have to say this first. Our Fire Hammer Squad will give you a chance to train and let you get used to killing monsters. However, you have to work hard and not rely on the help of the other squad members. If you still can't get used to it after your first mission, we can only kick you out of the squad. Brother Chen, I understand, Luo Feng laughed as he nodded. Fighter squads are all on the edge of life and death. If there's a burden in the squad, then the impact will be huge. I'm relieved that you understand. Also, Artillery Chen Gu laughed. Have you bought your weapons and equipment yet? Not yet. I'm preparing to buy some better weapons and equipment. However, only those with 1-star contribution points can be bought at half price. Luo Feng shook his head helplessly. Artillery Chen Gu immediately laughed. That's easy. Tell me what weapons and equipment you want to buy and I'll buy them for you. You don't have enough contribution points, but I do. I'm not far from a 2-star contribution point. I can definitely buy them at half price. Later, you can just transfer the money to my account, right? Okay, Chief Instructor Wu Tong nodded on the side. It's fine to get someone else to buy normal cold weapons and hot weapons. Of course, you can't get someone else to buy the instruction manuals, Luo Feng nodded. He knows this. For example, if he buys the 9-stage Thunderblade, then in the Dojo of Limits, Underground Alliance, and Thunder Dojo's database, it will show, Luo Feng bought the first 3 stages of the 9-stage Thunderblade. Then, Luo Feng can use the 9-stage Thunderblade without a problem. However, if Yang Wu can use the 9-stage Thunderblade without buying the instruction manual, he'll be arrested once he's discovered. This is because he's suspected of plagiarizing and spreading the 9-stage Thunderblade instruction manual, which violates Thunder God's ownership of the instruction manual. If you don't buy it, you don't have the right to learn it. If you let someone else buy it for you, then the database will only have the information that someone else bought it for you. Even if you buy it, you won't dare to learn it. And weapons and equipment don't have copyright. Luo Feng, write down all the weapons and equipment you want to buy. I'll buy them for you later, said Chengu. Okay, Luo Feng nodded and immediately went to find a pen and paper to write it down. All 5 series equipment. The battle uniform set is priced at 9 million, the Ghost Blade No. 2 series is priced at 3 million, the Shield series is priced at 1.5 million, and the 10 throwing knives of the 6 series are priced at 1.5 million. The total is 15 million. Adding in the backpack, tactical communications watch, and other small tools, Luo Feng's equipment is complete. Luo Feng's home's 2nd floor, training hall. The morning sun shone in through the window, causing the entire training hall to be bright. Luo Feng wore a loose training uniform and sat cross-legged in the training hall. The training hall that was over 100 square meters was empty. Only Luo Feng sat cross-legged in the middle, and in front of him was an instruction manual, 9-stage Thunderblade. I heard the 9-stage Thunderblade is hard to learn. I wonder how hard it is. Luo Feng opened the instruction manual and started reading. Chapter 39. He opened the first page of the 9-stage Thunderblade instruction manual. Fast. The most eye-catching word on the title page made Luo Feng feel like he was looking at a blade coming towards him. His entire body trembled. Keep in mind that this is just a copy of the 9-stage Thunderblade instruction manual. Even the word fast in this copy made Luo Feng's heart tremble. One can only imagine how terrifying the Thunder God who created this technique was. Luo Feng continued to read. Of all the techniques in the world, speed is the only thing that can't be broken. When your blade is fast to the limit, then you'll be invincible. Luo Feng opened the first page and saw the flamboyant handwriting. Even Hong's destroyer is the same. His strongest move is also a move that's fast to the limit. With one move, the heavens and earth tremble and nothing can't be destroyed. The essence of the 9-stage Thunderblade I created is one word: fast. Luo Feng flipped to the second page and continued reading. Why is it so fast? Why is it so powerful? First of all, when your blade is so fast that your opponent can't even react to it. You can slit your opponent's throat before they even have the time to swing their blade. Even if you only have 10% of your opponent's strength, I'm sure their throat won't be able to block your blade. So, speed allows you to attack your opponent's weak points. Next, speed allows your blade to be shockingly powerful. According to the energy calculation method, the attack power of a blade is equal to 0.5 mv/2. In other words, when a blade's mass is fixed, the faster the blade is, the more terrifying the energy it contains. When it's fast enough, even a water column can pierce through steel. When it's fast enough, even a water column can pierce through steel. Even a piece of paper can cut through steel. Speed allows your opponent to not have time to defend. Speed allows your blade to be unstoppable, whether it's from the angle of attacking the weak points or from the angle of absolute power. Making your blade fast is the best way. Luo Feng nodded. Most fighters in today's society understand this. Only when you reach the limit of speed can you be invincible. There are many martial artists in the world who know this, but those who can put it into practice and succeed are few and far between. Thunder God's description in the instruction manual was full of confidence. The 9-stage Thunderblade that I created gave me the fastest blade in the world. It also gave me the world's fastest speed and the strongest physique. Luo Feng's eyes lit up as he listened. The 9-stage Thunderblade contains a complete set of movement technique flowing light, a complete set of Dao Yin technique 9-stage chaotic origin, and a complete set of blade technique Thunderblade. Among the three, the Daoyin technique is the most fundamental. Only by relying on the Daoyin technique can you have a strong physique. Physical fitness is the foundation. Saber arts and body arts, on the other hand, are techniques that require repeated practice and comprehension. Luo Feng continued to read. There were a total of 3 parts of the Dao Yin technique recorded in this instruction manual. According to the secret manual, the 9-stage chaotic origin Dao Yin technique had a total of 9 volumes. For the same reason, this secret manual only had the first 3 levels of the saber technique. His movement technique was only at the first 3 levels. Luo Feng read everything word by word. He raised his head. At this time, the sun was already very hot. The August sun shone through the window, making the entire training hall even more dazzling. Unbelievable, this is unbelievable. Luo Feng was completely subdued by the 9-stage thunder blade created by Thunder God. Even though it only had the first 3 stages, the first 3 stages were enough to stun Luo Feng. Compared to this instruction manual, the so-called techniques on the internet are like fireflies compared to the sun. Let's test this technique. Luo Feng solemnly placed the instruction manual in the corner of the training hall. He then took out his ghost blade and unsheathed it with a chi sound. The ghost blade was 101 centimeters long, 78 centimeters long, and 5.2 centimeters wide. This blade has already been sharpened, and its main material is grade 2 Kuluo alloy. This ghost blade, even at half price, still costs 3 million and weighs 112 kilograms. Begin. Who? Luo Feng stood in the middle of the training hall and swung the ghost blade in his hand over and over again. The reason why the 9-stage thunder blade is so powerful is because it relies on a special method of force exertion. When a normal person swings his blade, he might use 100% of his strength, and when a practitioner of the 9-stage thunder blade swings his blade, he will only use 70% of his strength. After using the first layer of force, they will try their best to use the second layer of force, which is the same 70% of their strength. 2 layers of force, which is 140% of their strength. The 9-stage thunder blade is split into 9 stages. The first stage allows you to use 1 more layer of force, which is 140% of your strength. The second stage allows you to use 2 more layers of force, which is 210% of your strength. The third stage allows you to use 3 more layers of force, which is 28% of your strength. The 9th stage allows you to use 9 more layers of force, which is 70% of your strength, which is a whole 7 times your original strength. What does that mean? In other words, if a beginner-level warrior reaches the 9th stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade, then he can match up to a beginner-level warlord. So difficult, the rumors were right. This 9-stage Thunderblade is extremely difficult to learn. Even the beginner level is this hard. Luo Feng continuously swung his blade hundreds of times, trying to see if he can use 1 more layer of force on top of the previous blade. But he couldn't do it. Too difficult. Keep in mind that swinging the blade is over in an instant. In such an instant, it was simply impossible for the body to exert strength from the inside after the first slash. I still can't bite off more than I can chew. The first stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade has 18-blade technique. According to the instruction manual, practicing these 18-blade techniques will help you understand the first stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade. Luo Feng nodded. As the saying goes, reading a book 100 times will reveal its true meaning. After practicing these 18-blade techniques many times, as long as you have a bit of comprehension, you will naturally understand the essence of the technique. Feng, time to eat. Feng, hurry up, his parents' voices carried from downstairs. I'm coming. Luo Feng put his ghost blade back into its scabbard and hung it on the wall. He then put the 9-stage Thunderblade instruction manual back in his room and went downstairs to eat. Time passed. Even though Luo Feng joined the Fire Hammer Squad, the Fire Hammer Squad was on vacation. Luo Feng took this opportunity to study the 9-stage Thunderblade, his technique, and his Dao Yin technique. Out of these, the Dao Yin technique and genetic energy training had the most obvious effect. Luo Feng's body's strength increased by a large amount. As for the 9-stage Thunderblade, Luo Feng didn't even complete the first stage. Even though he didn't complete it, Luo Feng's technique has become more agile and his control over his blade technique has improved by quite a bit. Even though I can't instantly unleash a wave of force, at least my control over my muscles is much more precise than before. Luo Feng was alone in the training hall as he silently put on his battle uniform pants. On the outside of his pants were 5 throwing knives and on his feet were alloy battle boots. On his body was a battle vest, his arms were bare, and he wore wrist guards on both of his hands. On his back was a fighter's bag, a hexagonal shield, and a ghost blade. On the wrist guard of his right hand was a tactical communications watt. In his bag, he prepared water and some high-calorie food. Today, August 28th, is the first time I leave the headquarters city and officially start a mission. Luo Feng took in a deep breath. Indeed, today is the day the Fire Hammer squad leaves. Luo Feng. Canon Chenggu yelled from outside. I'm coming, Luo Feng responded and immediately ran downstairs. As he got downstairs, he saw his father, Luo Honggua, and mother, Gong Xianlan, standing on one side in the living room. His brother, Luo Hua, sat in his wheelchair and also silently looked at Luo Feng. They knew that today is the day Luo Feng leaves the headquarters city and enters the wilderness. The wilderness is a general term for the areas on the continent outside of human headquarters cities. It includes ruined cities, suburbs, mountains, forests, lakes, etc. Feng, be careful, Gong Xianlan couldn't help but to say. Don't worry, Mom. Luo Feng grinned, nodded towards his dad, and then looked towards his brother, Luo Hua. Brother, maybe when you come back you'll be able to eat my wedding candy. Luo Hua suddenly laughed. Wedding candy? That's fast. You haven't even known that girl for 2 months, right? Laughed Luo Feng. Our relationship is good, so what if it's fast? Luo Hua laughed proudly. All right, when I come back, I'll eat your wedding candy. Make sure to get some delicious wedding candy for me, laughed Luo Feng and rubbed his brother's head. All right, Mom, Dad, I'm leaving. I'll be back in a few days. After saying that, Luo Feng directly ran out the door and met up with Chenggu, who was at the entrance of the villa. Luo Feng and his family watched Luo Feng, who was dressed in battle uniform, and another similarly burly man, who was also fully equipped, swiftly leave. Let's go, Luo Feng. The 3 of us will go to the HR Alliance market and meet up with the captain. After that, we'll head out together and head towards the wilderness. Yes, Brother Chun, Luo Feng, Chungu, and another man with a spear on his back got on the Limit Hall's car and swiftly departed. Chapter 40. Jiangnan Headquarters City, one of the 6 headquarters cities in China, was extremely rich. In the main city area, there was a skyscraper that was 88 stories tall. On the wall of this skyscraper, there were 2 eye-catching English letters, HR. Around the first floor of the skyscraper, there was a beautiful plaza as well as the largest fountain in Jiangnan Headquarters City. Around the plaza, there were over 1,000 soldiers patrolling, preventing outsiders from taking a single step inside. The passers-by that passed by all looked at this skyscraper with curiosity and envy. In the entire Jiangnan city, most people have never entered it in their entire lives. Beep! An electronic sound rang. Immediately, the patrolling soldiers gave way, and a military off-road vehicle with HR printed on it drove in and stopped at the entrance of the skyscraper's lobby. Hua, the door opened, and 3 fully armed martial artists could be seen. They were either carrying a spear, a saber and a shield, or 2 large metal boxes on their back. Sir, please enter, the doorman at the entrance of the skyscraper's lobby respectfully bowed. These 3 fighters directly entered the skyscraper. Come, Luo Feng, let's go sit at the bar on the side and wait for the captain and the others, laughed Chenggu. I haven't seen the captain yet, so I wonder what he looks like, laughed Luo Feng. At the same time, he carefully observed this HR alliance market. This is the underground alliance formed by the super families and financial groups of the world. As their headquarters in Jiangnan Headquarter City, the entire skyscraper was extremely luxurious. The lobby's floor was so shiny that one could see one's reflection. Even some of the simple decorations were extraordinary. The waiters in the lobby, the men were handsome and the women were alluring. Every single one of them had a refreshing smile on their faces. Luo Feng, Chen Gu, and another team member, Zhang Ku, all sat on the sofa. "Gentlemen, what would you like to drink?" The waitress slightly bowed and smiled as she asked. "Tai Guanyin. Pu'er tea with a bit of jasmine flavor." Canon Chen Gu and Zhang Ku, these two experienced fighters, directly spoke. Luo Feng was a bit shocked when he heard this. In the dojo of limits, these two often drank. Zhang Ku, who had a pair of muscular arms like that of a gibbon, laughed. "Luo Feng, you can't be careless in the wilderness, so you can't drink." Luo Feng realized, right? You can't be careless in the wilderness, how can you drink right now? "Give me a cup of pu'er too." Luo Feng smiled. The quiet sound of music reverberated in the hall. It was a song played by a flute. As for what song it was, with his taste, he could not recognize it at all. However, the sound of the flute was sometimes melodious and soothing, and sometimes it was fast and light, making one's soul feel much more refreshed. Luo Feng, the first floor is where the guests rest. Going up from the second floor is where we sell items in the mall. Chen Gu smiled. This is the Underground Alliance Mall. Usually, it was cheaper than the full price of the items in the Home of Limits online store. Of course, it's higher than our half price. Luo Feng nodded. Half price, that's for the members of the Dojo of Limit. The biggest advantage of the Underground Alliance Mall is that we can sell some of the monster body parts that we kill to them at a high price. Chen Gu explained. If we sell the monster body parts to the dojo, then we will sell it to them. The price is relatively low, but the dojo will give us contribution points. If he sold it to the Underground Alliance market, the price would be high but he wouldn't get any contribution points. Naturally, it's up to you to choose, Luo Feng smiled. He already knew about this after reading a few posts on the fighter discussion boards. Selling it to the dojo gives you contribution points and money. Selling it to the Underground Alliance only gives you money, but the price is high. Brother Wang, you've been up for half the night, go rest. Leave this to me, a clear and gentle voice rang. Luo Feng, who was holding a cup of tea, suddenly turned his head as if he was shocked by electricity. What he saw was a young girl wearing a white shirt and a black suit changing shifts with another manager. In this bar, there were a total of 12 waiters and one manager. It's open 24 hours a day and changes shifts every 8 hours, with 3 shifts. Su Xian? Luo Feng looked in disbelief at the female manager behind the bar. She looked like a professional woman, and her actions were naturally noble. To be able to become the manager of the bar in the Underground Alliance Mall, she definitely isn't a position that just anyone can enter. This is a place specially made to serve fighters. Even a regular waiter would have to graduate from a famous university and go through many training courses, not to mention a bar manager. Su Xian, she. That simple high school girl from before, how did she suddenly become so different? Brother Chen, Brother Zhang, I'll go over for a bit. Luo Feng's bag, shield, and blade were all placed on the sofa, and he smiled as he stood up and walked towards the bar. In the bar, Su Xian lowered her head and checked the drinks and other supplies in the bar. Suddenly, Su Xian, a familiar voice rang. Su Xian was shocked. In the lobby of the first floor, people who knew her real name usually called her Manager Su, and ordinary martial artists didn't know her name. How could someone call her Su Xian? Moreover, this voice was so familiar. Su Xian raised her head. At this time, Luo Feng lowered his head and looked inside the bar. Su Xian, who was half squatting while checking the drinks, raised her head. The two's gazes met. At this time, Luo Feng and Su Xian both had a sudden feeling, and their hearts started to throb. Luo Feng, why are you here? Su Xian reacted and stood up as she smiled. Even you, Su Xian, can be a manager here, so why can't I be here? Luo Feng smiled as he said. As he looked at the young girl in front of him, Luo Feng couldn't help but to think back to when he was in high school. He sat in the back of the classroom and silently stared at Su Xian's back. He had a crush on her for a long time, but he never had the chance to say it. He thought that it would be hard for him to see Su Xian again, but who would have thought that he would see her in the HR Alliance market? And he saw Su Xian before he went to the wilderness for the first time. Ah, Luo Feng, you're a fighter now? Su Xian saw Luo Feng's appearance and couldn't help but to be surprised. Yeah, I'm going to the wilderness soon, laughed Luo Feng. Wilderness? Su Xian's face slightly changed. In the entire world, other than headquarter cities, all areas are called the wilderness. To the humans living in headquarter cities, the wilderness is another name for death. That place is filled with all sorts of monsters. Some are sinister, some are powerful, and some are almost invincible. In those kinds of places, only the strongest fighters can go there and fight against the monsters. Su Xian didn't think that Luo Feng was a fighter, and that he was about to enter the wilderness. To be honest, Su Xian knows that Luo Feng likes her a bit. But there's no way to hide this. Luo Feng often sneaks glances at people's backs during class. Su Xian occasionally turns around and sees Luo Feng staring at her. Naturally, Su Xian understands Luo Feng's thoughts. It's just that neither of them pointed it out. Luo Feng, the captain's here. Come over, yelled Chengu. I'm going, said Luo Feng to Su Xian. Okay, nodded Su Xian. Luo Feng walked back to his original position. At this time, 3 more people came. 2 of them looked very similar, obviously twins. Both of them had a shield and a scimitar on their backs. And the third person had an incomparably sturdy body. On his back were 2 black hammers that had specks of silver. Luo Feng, these 2 are the famous twin moon scimitar Wei Jia brothers, Wei Tai and Wei Qing, laughed Chengu. The Wei Jia brothers nodded towards Luo Feng, took off their shields and scimitars, and sat down. Brother Tai, Brother Qing, smiled Luo Feng as he greeted. The other members of the Fire Hammer Squad were all quite a bit older than Luo Feng, at least 10 years older. Compared to the other 5, Luo Feng was indeed a little brother. This is the captain of our Fire Hammer Squad, Twin Wind Hammer Gao Feng, said Chengu. Luo Feng couldn't help but to carefully look at the captain, Gao Feng. Gao Feng wasn't too tall, only around 1.8 meters. The most special thing about him was that his body was way too sturdy, as if he was made out of steel. Gao Feng grinned and the muscles on his face were like rocks. Luo Feng, you also use blades. When you enter the wilderness, learn from Wei Tai and Wei Qing. You're quite talented, so I'm sure you'll quickly become a member of our squad. Okay, nodded Luo Feng. No matter what, his number 1 goal right now is not to become a burden to this elite warlord squad. Rest for a bit, we'll head out soon, said Gao Feng. Yes, Captain, including Luo Feng, the other 5 nodded. After just 20 minutes, Gao Feng and the others, who finished their tea, stood up. Let's go to the wilderness. Luo Feng immediately put his ghost blade, shield, and other items on his back. Luo Feng, a voice rang. Luo Feng turned his head. Su Xian's chest was slightly moving up and down. She didn't know why, but when she thought about how Luo Feng was about to enter the dangerous wilderness, Su Xian panicked a bit. Maybe Su Xian had a special feeling towards this boy who had a crush on her in high school. Luo Feng looked at Su Xian. I'll be starting school in a few days, but during college, I'll be the manager here on Saturdays and Sundays, yelled Su Xian. You have to come when that time comes. After yelling this, Su Xian's face was a bit red. Okay, I'll definitely come, Luo Feng let out a smile. You got her so quickly, impressive, laughed Chengu, who was on the side as he patted Luo Feng's shoulder. This is the benefit of being young, all the beauties are throwing themselves at you, laughed Gao Feng, who was on the side. Since they decided to let Luo Feng join the Fire Hammer squad, they naturally treated Luo Feng as a brother. Luo Feng only laughed. Let's go, get on the car. The 6 members of the Fire Hammer squad got on the HR Alliance's private car and headed towards the train station. They rode the train out of the headquarters city towards the wilderness. Chapter 41. A few hundred miles north of Jiangnan headquarters city, there was a military base. Rumble, the train slowly stopped at the military base station. One by one, fully armed warriors got off the train. There were more than 20 of them, and they were naturally divided into 4 small teams. Luo Feng, when we fighters go out to hunt monsters, we'll go to the military base to replenish our supplies. Chen Gu pointed at a place in front of them. There was an iron tower that was about 50 to 60 meters tall. Do you see this tower? The entire country of China and even the entire world. In any military region, there will be a special area designated as a supply base for martial artists, specifically for martial artists to rest. This fighter supply base usually has a lighthouse like this. It's meant to light the way home for us fighters, Luo Feng nodded. The fighter supply base was located within the military base. There were many quiet buildings, and the environment was very good. Fire Hammer Squad, you will live and rest in E6. An officer of the supply base passed a key to the captain of the Fire Hammer Squad, Gao Feng, and patted Gao Feng's shoulder with a smile. Old Gao, how long are you planning to hunt this time? If you get any good stuff, feel free to sell it to the Underground Alliance. I'll definitely give you a high price. Inside the supply base, there were quite a few people wearing military uniforms. However, in reality, the service personnel of the fighter supply base came from the Dojo of Limits, the Thunder Dojo, the government's army, and the Underground Alliance. They were there to provide services, but at the same time, they would also purchase some valuable monster materials from the fighters. Haha, sure, Gao Feng laughed. Hurry up and arrange for some people to equip us for lunch. This supply base wasn't too big. E6, over there, the Fire Hammer Squad quickly found the 3-story building that represented E6. The key with the microchip swiped across the door, and the door to the 3-story building opened. Before the Fire Hammer party left the supply base, the right to use this small building belonged to the Fire Hammer party. Let's lie down and sleep for a bit. I didn't sleep well last night. Chen Gu put down the 2 big metal boxes on his body, jumped directly onto the sofa, and stretched on the sofa. If you want to rest, then rest. We'll officially leave tonight, so make sure you all stay alert, commanded Captain Gao Feng. Understood. Steel Spear Zhang Ku and the twin Moon Scimitar brothers all laughed as they responded, clearly knowing the rules. Leaving at night? Luo Feng was shocked. Luo Feng, look at the weather right now. It was the end of August, the hottest time of the year. Carrying hundreds of kilograms of stuff on his back on such a hot day? No matter how much water you bring, it won't be enough. At that time, you can only drink water from the river. Chen Gu smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. It's cooler at night, so isn't it better to travel? It can also save water. Luo Feng smiled awkwardly. Although he had read many posts, he really didn't notice this point. Luo Feng's gaze passed through the window and saw a figure in the resupplying base. Brother Chen, look, isn't that Zhang Zhe Hu? At this time, Zhang Zhe Hu's body was wrapped in gauze, and there were faint traces of blood on the sandbag. Clearly, Zhang Zhe Hu was injured and was currently recuperating in the supply base. Chen Gu also turned around. Yes, it's Zhang Zhe Hu. Hey! Chen Gu walked to the door and shouted proudly, Mountain-splitting tiger, what happened to you? Weren't you fine last time? How did you get injured like this in the blink of an eye? Zhang Zhe Hu, who was walking and chatting with his companions, couldn't help but to turn his head and look. With a glance, he saw Chen Gu, Luo Feng, and the others at the entrance of the building. He was so angry that his teeth itched, but he suppressed his anger and instead laughed loudly. Chun Da Pao, your fire hammer squad is also an elite squad, so why did you bring a newbie? Haha, aren't you afraid that your entire squad will be dragged to death by this burden? Usually, elite squads that work well together rarely bring newbies. Because even if a newbie has a good fitness level, he doesn't have any experience. If he drops the ball at a crucial time, he can easily drag down the older members. After Zhang Zehu and Chen Gu mocked each other for a bit, because the captain dual-wind hammer Gao Feng scolded him, Zhang Zehu didn't say anything else. Even though he sometimes dares to compete with Chen Gu, he doesn't dare to compete with Gao Feng. This was because Gao Feng used cold weapons, while Chen Gu used hot weapons. With firearms, even if you reach the max, you can at most reach the beginner warlord level. Because firearms and other firearms can usually only threaten beginner commander level monsters. Zhang Zehu is only a little bit away from the warlord level. Fuck, who would have thought that this Luo Feng would actually join the Fire Hammer squad? Zhang Zehu and his teammates walked on the road as he cursed. I thought he would join a normal fighter squad. That way, I would be able to teach him a lesson and let him know the consequences of messing with me. But he actually joined the Fire Hammer squad. Zhang Zehu clenched his teeth in anger. Who, the young man beside Chen Gu just now, is that Luo Feng who made you spend 100 million? The one-eyed middle-aged man on the side spoke. Yeah, that's him. Zhang Zehu's eyes flashed with an ominous light. This little bastard, I thought he wouldn't go too far. After that negotiation, the security bureau directly came to my nephew's house. And this kid actually directly reported it to the security bureau. I was forced to immediately donate 100 million in my nephew's name to the country, allowing my nephew to obtain the title of one-star citizen. But even so, my nephew will still be locked up for a few months. Thinking of his brother's anxiousness at the time, as well as Zhang Haobai's fear when he was taken away by the security bureau, Zhang Zehu became even more furious. Previously, he had made a promise to his elder brother and nephew, although he later spent 100 million to protect his nephew. But Zhang Haobai was imprisoned for a few months and suffered a bit, so he couldn't escape. Forget it, don't think too much. It will do your nephew good to suffer a little. The one-eyed middle-aged man said with a faint smile, You should make the most of your time and rest well. I estimate that your injuries will heal in another 3 days. At that time, we can set off and continue to deal with that old man. Once we kill that old fellow, our team will be rich. Yes. Zhang Zehu heavily nodded, then glanced at the distant E6 building and sneered. I'm willing to bet that this Luo Feng will either die or be heavily injured the first time he enters the wilderness. Haha, you sure have a lot of resentment towards him. However, injuries are unavoidable since it's your first time in the wilderness, laughed the one-eyed middle-aged man. In the evening, the 6 members of the fully armed Fire Hammer squad left the resupplying base and entered the wilderness. Chen Gu, give me one of your metal boxes, said the captain, Gao Feng. Haha, sorry for the trouble, Captain. I can carry these 2 boxes for a short period of time, but I won't be able to if I carry them for a long period of time. As he said that, Chen Gu handed one of the large metal boxes to the captain. Gao Feng easily received it with one hand and carried it on his back. This bit of weight was nothing to the strongest fighter of the Fire Hammer squad, Gao Feng. Ka! Chen Gu opened the other box. Inside was a completely silver-gray machine gun. The muzzle of the gun flashed with a metallic luster. Other than this machine gun, there were also large amounts of chains of bullet. At a glance, it looked like they were densely packed together, filling up the entire metal box. One could only imagine how many bullets there were. Brother Chen, what kind of gun is this? Asked Luo Feng curiously. M81 Model 12. 7mm caliber. It can fire between 50–300 rounds per minute, and it can be adjusted. Chen Gu laughed proudly. The entire body of the gun is mixed with some grade 3 Luo alloy. Even if it continuously fires bullets, the heat from the barrel won't affect the accuracy of the bullets. Luo Feng was confused. Brother Chun, why aren't you using the Vulcan cannon? Isn't the Vulcan series of machine guns widely known to be powerful? You noob. Chun Gu glared. The spear Zhang Ku on the side also laughed. Luo Feng, the Vulcan series heavy machine gun is indeed powerful. However, the amount of bullets used by the Vulcan series is insane. 7,000 rounds per minute. Some of the higher-end ones are even faster. Do you know what that means? 7,000 rounds per minute. And bullets that can threaten a low-level warlord-level monster weigh at least 50 grams. 10,000 bullets would weigh 500 kilograms. You're carrying 500 kilograms of bullets on your back and you're traveling a few hundred miles. When you're killing the monster, the Vulcan cannon will run out of bullets within a minute, laughed Zhang Ku as he looked at Luo Feng. What do you think of the Vulcan series? Luo Feng realized. He really didn't understand this. Yeah, the weight of the bullets is indeed a huge problem. 7,000 rounds per minute, how many bullets do you need to bring to play? Other than the army, or those who specialize in dealing with monsters, or those who specialize in transporting large amounts of bullets and Vulcan machine guns. Normally, people like us can't use those kinds of machine guns. We don't have that many bullets, laughed Chingu. I brought a total of 10,000 bullets this time. I also need the captain to help me carry some of them. Chingu's body was wrapped in a chain of bullets and he held the machine gun in his hand. Luo Feng and the two of them were in the middle of the group, protected by the others. The twin Moon Scimitar brothers were at the front of the group. Captain Gao Feng and Zhang Ku were at the back. If we follow this highway, we'll arrive at our destination. Number 0201 City, said Captain Gao Feng. Luo Feng couldn't help but to look at the highway in front of him. Highways only exist in legends for humans living in headquarter cities. The highway under his feet has long been ruined, and there were quite a few cracks on the road. With a glance you could see broken cars, vans, trucks, etc. everywhere on this highway. Even some broken tires were lying everywhere. From time to time, blackened bloodstains could be seen on the ground. Let's go! The reddish rays of the setting sun shone on the silent and dilapidated highway that had been in disrepair for decades. The 6 members of the Fire Hammer Squad were advancing along this highway. Howl! Howl! The roars of monsters came from the fields on both sides of the highway and the ruined villages. Luo Feng could even see the shadows of quite a few monsters. The other 5 members of the Fire Hammer Squad were very relaxed, but Luo Feng didn't dare to relax at all. He couldn't relax at all, because he could see the existence of monsters everywhere. Okay, Luo Feng, there's a horned boar that's between AG and F grade. I'll leave it to you, Captain Gao Feng's voice rose. This is your first battle in the wilderness. Chapter 42. Luo Feng, this is your first battle, don't get careless. The wild nature of these monsters is much stronger than the monsters in the military. Chen Gu reminded seriously. Luo Feng laughed, he could feel Brother Chen's concern. In this Fire Hammer Squad, the ones closest to him are undoubtedly Chen Gu and Zhang Ku, who live in the same Mingyue sector. As for Captain Gao Feng and the Wei brothers, after all, they did not know each other. As a newcomer, it would not be easy for him to gain the acknowledgement of Gao Feng and the other two. Good luck, Luo Feng. Right now, your speed and reaction speed have just reached the high-level warrior level's physical fitness standard. Your strength is close to that of a high-level warrior. Dealing with this horned wild boar shouldn't be a problem. Iron Spear Zhang Ku also gave a rare encouragement. The other 3, Captain Gao Feng and the Wei Jia brothers, all looked at Luo Feng. Chi! Luo Feng pulled out his ghost blade, held the shield in his left hand, and gripped the ghost blade in his right. He slightly smiled. Captain, Brother Chen, watch me get the horn of this horned boar. As Luo Feng said that, he swiftly moved forward. He watched as Luo Feng left. Captain, aren't you asking too much of Luo Feng to fight a near F-grade horned boar in his first battle? Chen Gu couldn't help but to say, even though our Fire Hammer Squad should test Luo Feng, we have to do it step by step. It's better to get a G-class monster first. Yes, we can't be too hasty, Zhang Ku also said. Captain's arrangement is not a problem. The eldest of the Wei Jia brothers, Wei Tai, said in a low voice, Luo Feng's body fitness level isn't any weaker than that monster's. Even though it's a bit harder, he should be able to win after suffering a bit. This is his first time in the wilderness. Zhang Ku was a little dissatisfied. So what if it's the first time? I don't want him to be a burden to us. Otherwise, how would we dare to hunt powerful warrior-level monsters with a newbie? Wei Qing frowned. At this moment, of the 5 old members of the Fire Hammer Squad, Chen Gu and Zhang Ku obviously sided with Luo Feng, while the Wei Jia brothers looked at Luo Feng with suspicion. Stop arguing, Gao Feng said. Chen Gu and the others quietened down. Watch the battle between Luo Feng and the Horned Boar, said Gao Feng expressionlessly. Luo Feng was like an agile leopard as he swiftly scuttled behind an overturned car on the highway. He looked towards the Horned Boar not far away. This Horned Boar's entire body was covered in black fur, like black steel spikes, and its dark gray horn was like a sharp knife. Under the afterglow of the evening sun, the single-horned knife reflected a cold light. If one were to say that the iron fur wild boar was like a heavy hummer during the warrior combat assessment, it was wild and ferocious. The feeling that this single-horned wild boar gave off was that it was agile and valiant. This is my first battle, I must fight beautifully. The reason I was able to join the Fire Hammer Squad was partly because of Director Zhuge's request, but more importantly, it was because of Brother Chen and Brother Zhang's help. Luo Feng was very clear on one thing. It's very hard for a rookie to join an elite warlord-level squad. Captain Gao Feng and the Wei Jia brothers are clearly suspicious of him, so he has to prove himself through battle. Luo Feng stared at the hunting horned boar in front of him. The 3 levels of H, G, and F respectively correspond to beginner, intermediate, and advanced beast soldiers. Clearly, this horned boar in front of him is close to the F level. Roar, roar, the horned boar let out a roar and scanned its surroundings with killing intent. It found me, Luo Feng's heart rate sped up and he was a bit excited. Boom, the horned boar ferociously sprinted, as if it had turned into a speeding tank. It directly rammed into the broken car that Luo Feng was hiding behind. Luo Feng was like an agile monkey as he swiftly dodged. With a rumble, the car was sent flying. At the same time, it rolled a few times on the highway. The body of the car, which has been exposed to the elements for dozens of years, directly split apart. The wheels also rolled on the highway for a while before falling. The moment Luo Feng dodged, he immediately charged towards the horned boar. Bastard, die! Luo Feng roared. His entire body was like a bolt of lightning as he directly shot towards the horned boar. The ghost blade in his hand instantly drew a cold light as it slashed towards the horned boar's neck. The horned boar that sent the car flying didn't seem to be able to turn in time, but when Luo Feng got close to it, whoosh! A black shadow came towards Luo Feng's head. So fast, Luo Feng jumped in shock. He exerted force in his legs and barely managed to twist his body to dodge the black shadow. This black shadow was the horned boar's iron whip-like tail. Pu! Pu! After whipping its tail, the horned boar's agility instantly soared and it ferociously pounced towards Luo Feng. Its thick iron hooves and sharp horn directly stabbed towards Luo Feng. Damn, this horned boar is way too fast. Luo Feng immediately took a step back and raised the shield in his hand. Pung! The shield and the horned boar's iron hooves fiercely clashed. At the moment of impact, Luo Feng used the rebounding force to swiftly dive backward. He rolled on the ground and the horned boar chased after him. Luo Feng flipped and stepped on the body of an old truck, and with another flash, he hid behind the truck. The truck's obstruction caused the horned boar's rapid charge to be ineffective. The 5 members of the Fire Hammer Squad who watched from afar slightly nodded their heads. Captain, Luo Feng's reaction isn't bad, right? Laughed Chengu. Captain Gao Feng slightly smiled and nodded. Yeah, not bad. I thought that since it's his first time facing this horned boar, he would suffer a bit. But I didn't think that his reaction speed would be this fast. Also, his fundamentals are pretty good, and his shield's deflection was very ingenious. His movements were like flowing water. This Luo Feng wasn't even injured by the horned boar's attack. Okay, the Wei Jia brothers, who had a cold expression on their faces, loosened a bit. Wei Tai, Wei Qing, Luo Feng isn't bad, right? Zhang Ku also let out a smile. This battle isn't over yet, so it's hard to say, said Wei Tai coldly. The 5 members of the Fire Hammer squad continued to watch the battle between Luo Feng and the horned boar. Luo Feng was extremely focused as he thought to himself, this horned boar is so sneaky. At the beginning, it purposely showed weakness to me. Then, it suddenly attacked me with its tail. At the same time, it attacked with its hooves and horned blade. And then, it charged crazily at the ends. Thankfully, I've been practicing the 9-stage Thunder Blade these past few days, so my control over my body's strength has improved. If he hadn't been practicing the 9-stage Thunder Blade for the past month, I'm afraid that Luo Feng would have to use his spiritual force to protect himself from this wave of attacks from the horned boar. Roar! The horned boar howled. It didn't stupidly charge into the truck, but instead jumped over it and swiftly charged towards Luo Feng. Bastard, this time, you're dead for sure. Luo Feng ferociously kicked a broken tire on the side. As if it was shot by a catapult, the tire swiftly flew towards the horned boar. The horned boar didn't slow down at all. It only slightly lowered its head. The horn on its head was incomparably sharp, and it directly sliced the tire in half. After that, the tire fell off, and after Luo Feng kicked the tire, he immediately charged towards the horned boar. Roar! As the horned boar knocked the tire away, it immediately turned its head and stabbed towards Luo Feng with its horned blade. Die! At this moment, Luo Feng's body was like a butterfly as he nimbly spun and skillfully dodged the horned blade. As he spun, the ghost blade in Luo Feng's hand borrowed the force of the spin and instantly struck. The ghost blade's light sped up in an arc. Pu! As fast as lightning, this spinning blade directly chopped into the horned boar's neck. Pucci, Luo Feng clearly felt the toughness of the horned boar's fur and the toughness of its skin. No wonder normal bullets can't break through its skin. Fresh red blood seeped out. Luo Feng's blade only managed to cut about 5 centimeters into the horned boar's neck before it stopped. Roar! The horned boar madly howled and ferociously charged towards Luo Feng. The heavily injured horned boar became even more insane. What? What a nimble technique! The Wei Jia brothers' faces were filled with shock. He can actually dodge the horned boar's stabs so skillfully. The Wei Jia brothers' older brother, Wei Tai, exclaimed, unbelievable. And he dared to spin in front of the horned boar's horn. Isn't he afraid that the horned boar's horn will pierce through his body? Too skillful. Is he just lucky, or does he actually have skill? That spin seemed simple, but it revealed Luo Feng's amazing technique. Good, beautiful, Chengu and Zhang Ku couldn't help but to cheer. This kid has skill, Gao Feng smiled. In that dangerous situation, he dared to do that and succeeded. His technique is definitely not normal, and he grasped the timing very well. However, the hardest part about monsters is their life force. It won't be easy to kill this horned boar. The 5 members of the Fire Hammer squad, including the Wei Jia brothers, all let out a smile. The 5 of them continued to watch the battle between the crazed horned boar and Luo Feng. Chapter 43. Pa. Smelly blood flowed down the thick skin of the horned boar's neck and dripped onto the dusty highway. The horned boar's eyes flashed with a crazy light. With a low growl, the horned boar madly charged towards Luo Feng like lightning again and again. Hooves, horn, tail, these 3 attacks were endless. With an injury to the neck, the agility of turning my head has decreased by quite a bit, Luo Feng nimbly dodged. During the fighter combat assessment, he had to face the attacks of 7 H-class monsters at the same time to hone his movement technique. The intensity of the attacks from the 7 H-class monsters was slightly lower than that of the one-horned wild boar, which was nearing the F-class, but not by much. Whoosh! Instead of retreating, Luo Feng moved forward and dodged to the side. The horn of the horned boar was only 3 centimeters away from Luo Feng's body. However, these 3 centimeters were like a chasm. The horned boar couldn't hurt Luo Feng at all. Attack! The ghost blade in Luo Feng's hand fiercely chopped from above. With an ear-piercing whistling sound, the horned boar immediately roared in anger. Its 4 hooves abruptly exerted force in an attempt to dodge Luo Feng's blade. However, Luo Feng's blade was too fast. All that could be heard was the sound of the blade cutting into flesh. Another slash landed on the neck. Even though it wasn't in the same position as before, this slash went in about 8 centimeters deep. Humph, I was injured last time. Next time, its neck defense will be even weaker. Luo Feng immediately dodged and retreated as he chopped. At the same time Luo Feng slashed, he immediately dodged and retreated, easily dodging the wild horned boar's revenge attack. And then, Luo Feng once again got close. Ho, the horned boar let out an angry roar. Last time, Luo Feng once again took 3 steps and created a blur, once again dodging the horned boar's attack. Luo Feng's sharp blade came along with those agile steps. Poochie! At the beginning, it was quite difficult for the blade to cut down, but after cutting in 12 centimeters, the resistance immediately decreased. Luo Feng's ghost blade cut down 2/3 of the horned boar's head. After that, he swiftly pulled out his blade and retreated. Fresh blood gushed out from the huge wound like a fountain. With a shrill roar, the horned wild boar's body twitched, and its 4 hooves stomped madly on the ground, cracking the asphalt pavement. Then, the unconscious horned wild boar crashed into the curved guardrail on the side of the highway, breaking the guardrail and rolling down. The voice gradually weakened, and there was no more response. Luo Feng stood on the broken fence of the highway and looked at the horned boar's corpse that was about to fall off. The blood flow had slowed down, so it was clear that it was almost completely drained. After all, the amount of blood that had flowed out was probably enough to fill a bucket. Dead! Luo Feng jumped down, and then his ghost blade went along the head of the horned boar and plucked off its horn. The most precious part of the horned wild boar was this horn. Watching from afar, the 5 members of the Fire Hammer party could not help but let out a long sigh. Pervert! Monster! These 2 words came out of the Wei brothers' mouths. How is it? My recommendation is not bad, right? Chen Gu shouted proudly. If the 5 of them were surprised before, they were shocked now. Unbelievable, Zhang Ku couldn't help but to exclaim. The captain of the Twin Wind Hammers, Gao Feng, stared at Luo Feng, who was cutting off the horn from afar. How can this Luo Feng's technique be so powerful? In terms of pure speed, the horned boar is even a bit faster than him. But he dodged so many times just now with such ease. And he did it so naturally every time. If he can maintain this technique for hundreds and thousands of times, then he'll be in the Ru Wei class. He's only 18. If he's in the Ru Wei class, he should be sent to the Dojo World Headquarters for special training. The Wei family's boss, Wei Tai, couldn't help but to say. Ru Wei class. Martial artists of the same level were able to make precise and subtle dodges every time. They used the smallest amount of force to make the most perfect dodging. This kind of dodging is extremely difficult. A normal fighter can do it once or twice, but 100 or 1,000 times can do it. That means he's truly in the Ru Wei class. We got a treasure. Gao Feng let out a smile. The second brother of the Wei family, Wei Qing, nodded. Yeah, after some training, our Fire Hammer squad will have another backbone. Me and the second brother will teach him, said Wei Tai. Chen Gu and Zhang Ku both laughed. as veteran fighters who have walked the line between life and death countless times. They were very clear that some so-called geniuses have great fitness levels. However, when they actually fight against monsters, they won't even be able to display 10% of their true strength. So they usually look down on these so-called geniuses. True experts have gone through countless life and death battles, and Luo Feng's first performance was already this strong. Clearly, he's also very strong in battle. Captain, Luo Feng ran over from afar. This horn. You killed it, so of course this horn belongs to you, said Gao Feng. Luo Feng nodded and didn't refuse. Among monsters, the materials from soldier-level monsters aren't worth much. Because soldier-level monsters can be killed with firearms. Even a beginner-level fighter with a machine gun. As long as his marksmanship is good, he can easily kill soldier-level monsters one after another. So soldier-level monsters aren't worth much. If I sell this horn to the dojo, it should be worth $3,000. I can also get a few contribution points. If I sell it to the Underground Alliance, it should be worth 5,000, laughed Chengu. Only the materials from commander-level monsters are worth a lot of money. And the important materials from a horde leader-level monster are worth even more. Luo Feng, your performance just now barely passed, said the older brother of the Wei Jia brothers, Wei Tai, with a straight face. Brother Tai. Luo Feng looked over. Brother Tai, please teach me. Your technique's basics aren't bad, but your efficiency is way too low. Wei Tai's face was cold. In a bit, watch how I kill a F-grade monster. Luo Feng killed a monster that was nearing the F-grade. After rushing for a bit, Luo Feng and the others met a F-grade cat-type, ocelot monster. This ocelot had stripes on its body and was as sturdy as a calf. In terms of agility and savagery, it was much better than the horned boar. Watch me, said Wei Tai coldly. Whoosh! A shield in his left hand and a scimitar in his right. Wei Tai swiftly charged towards the ocelot. Brother Tai is an advanced warrior, so his fitness level is the same as this F-grade ocelot monster. Luo Feng watched carefully and saw that Wei Tai didn't dodge at all and just charged towards the ocelot in a straight line. No, to be more accurate, right when the ocelot roared and pounced towards Wei Tai. Wei Tai's body moved to the side and his shield collided with the ocelot. This collision caused the ocelot monster to lose its center of gravity and tilted to the side. Poochie! An arc of cold light brushed past the shield, slicing through the ocelot's neck and throat, which was exposed due to the ocelot's unstable center of gravity. Blood gushed out like a fountain, and Wei Tai quickly retreated. He looked at the ocelot monster coldly as it roared in pain, and gradually fell to the ground, losing its breath. Wei Tai cut off the ocelot monster's tail and took out a nearly transparent tendon. He put it in his bag and walked back. Did you see that? My technique isn't as good as yours, and the strength I used didn't surpass yours. However, I killed it in one move. Wei Tai looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng was still in shock. In the battle just now, life and death were decided in an instant. And just now, in order to kill the horned boar, he dodged its attacks time again, and then attacked the horned boar's neck. It took quite a bit of effort to kill it, and that horned boar was much weaker than this ocelot monster. Think about it. Wei Tai didn't explain and let Luo Feng think about it by himself. Luo Feng was completely shocked. Wei Tai's speed and technique aren't anything to be proud of, but the effects are just that great. The best way to kill a monster is to aim for its weakness. The second son of the Wei family, Wei Qing, walked over and said indifferently, Normally, a walking monster's weakness is its eyes, butt, throat, and mouth. The next weak point is its soft abdomen. And the next weak point is its neck. Luo Feng nodded. He knew this, but the monster moves so fast that it's hard to pierce its eyes. And the horned boar and the ocelot have their heads lowered, so it's hard to pierce their throats. Attacking the abdomen is also hard, so the neck is the easiest. It's hard to find an opportunity to attack its weakness. The monster isn't stupid, it will protect its weakness, but if there's no chance, we can create one. For example, just now, my brother made the ocelot monster lose its center of gravity through a sudden, slanted collision, and for a moment it revealed its neck. In an instant, the scimitar pierced through the shield and into his neck. It instantly killed the ocelot monster. Wei Qing said coldly. Even my big brother's final slash was from under the shield, so the monsters couldn't react to it. Luo Feng nodded. Remember, learn to use your strengths, Wei Qing said. Do it in the most effective and concise way possible. Your body movements are very good, but you don't have to show off your body movements every time you kill monsters. The final goal of all your actions is to kill monsters in the most effective manner. Understood. Luo Feng nodded. Wei Qing revealed a rare smile. Let's go. Captain Gao Feng waved his hand and smiled. The Fire Hammer Squad clearly wants to seriously nurture Luo Feng as the future backbone of the Fire Hammer Squad. On the way, Wei Qing and Wei Tai continuously went out to deal with some monsters, leaving Luo Feng to deal with them himself. They taught Luo Feng by word and example, giving him some battle experience. Luo Feng's rate of improvement was just as shocking. Even the warlord-level fighter Gao Feng helped out a few times to teach Luo Feng. Luo Feng slowly understood that when killing monsters, you have to maximize the effects of each attack. And when he killed the horned boar for the first time, all those beautiful dodges were just for show and were ineffective. Luo Feng's attacks gradually became sharp, direct, concise, and efficient. 3 days later. Dawn. On an old ring road, the 6 members of the Fire Hammer Squad advanced. There are 2 F-grade Mastiff Lionhounds in front. Luo Feng, you go, commanded Captain Gao Feng. Yes, Captain. Luo Feng smiled as he ran towards the Mastiff Lionhounds. His speed wasn't too fast. Howl, howl. The 2 Mastiff Lionhounds howled as they charged towards Luo Feng. The Mastiff Lion monster's eyes were still filled with bloodlust. They didn't care about the human in front of them. When the distance between the 2 became close, Luo Feng let out a smile. Whoosh! His speed suddenly increased. The fur on the 2 Mastiff Lion monsters' bodies instantly stood up. However, Luo Feng instantly closed in. His feet took 4 weird steps, which was the technique flowing light from the 9-stage Thunderblade. As the Lion Mastiff's claws pounced towards him, Luo Feng twisted his body and accurately dodged the Lion Mastiff's claws. As the 2 of them passed each other, his ghost blade pierced out. Pu! It directly pierced into the neck. Luo Feng swiftly charged forward and then turned his head to look at the other Mastiff Lion monster. Howl! When the other Mastiff Lion monster saw its comrade's neck spurt out blood, it actually let out a low growl and swiftly left. Gao Feng, Chen Gu, and the others of the Fire Hammer Squad all let out a smile when they saw this. Even though Luo Feng can't catch up to the Wei Jia brothers in terms of experience, but because of his technique advantage, Luo Feng's damage isn't any less than the Wei Jia brothers. Luo Feng, let's hurry and enter the city. Mastiffs all live in groups. The Mastiff Lion that just ran away will soon bring a group of Mastiff Lion monsters over, laughed Chen Gu. Luo Feng laughed as he met up with everyone. The 6 members of the Fire Hammer Squad finally entered their destination, number 0201 City. Chapter 44. The Fire Hammer Squad quietly entered the rural area of number 0201 Country Level City. Luo Feng, we've been following the highway for the past 3 days, so we've been going through desolate areas. As they walked, Chen Gu lowered his voice and said, most of the monsters live in the cities, in the built-up areas. Cities, and other places are the truly dangerous places. Understood, Brother Chen, nodded Luo Feng. In the post, he's already seen the habits of the monsters. In the long war between the monsters and humans, the monsters discovered that if they live in an empty, desolate area without any cover, then the human army and fighters can lock onto them from afar. They can use heavy sniper rifles or even missiles to attack from afar. And in the city there are large amounts of buildings. As long as the monsters hide in the built-up areas, then the sniper rifle will have a hard time finding them, unless the sniper comes to the city. And once the human army enters the city and starts fighting with the monsters will have a huge advantage. The built-up areas are the monsters' paradise. Our Fire Hammer Squad's target is naturally a commander-level monster. However, Chun-Gu reminded in a low voice, commander-level monsters already have a certain level of intelligence, which isn't much different from humans. A commander-level monster will order large amounts of soldier-level monsters to gather around it and listen to its command. Almost every commander-level monster is surrounded by a large number of soldier-level monsters, so it's very hard to kill a commander-level monster. Luo Feng nodded. Not only is there a huge difference in strength between a soldier and a commander, the most important thing is intelligence. In order to stay alive, a commander-level monster will naturally gather large amounts of soldier-level monsters to protect it. Other than a few monsters that like to travel alone, most of the commanders have many soldier-level monsters around them. Everyone, be careful. There's an ironclad bull's nest up ahead. Captain Gao Feng suddenly said. The leader of this iron-armored bull's nest should be a high-level beast general, and there are a lot of iron-armored bulls in this nest. Let's take a detour. Chun-Gu, don't shoot. If a steel-armored bull attacks, remember, kill it instantly and don't let it call for its comrades. Yes, Captain, the other 5 nodded. The rural area, the city. Unlike the desolate areas outside, this place is much more dangerous. Following a narrow path, the 6 members of the Fire Hammer Squad carefully moved forward. Stop. The eldest of the Wei brothers, Wei Tai, who was standing at the front, raised his hand and stared ahead solemnly. In front of them was a gigantic iron fur wild boar lying on the ground. Beside it were 2 tiger mastiff monsters with their heads lowered as they devoured the meat in large mouthfuls. Suddenly, the tiger mastiff monsters raised their heads and looked at the Fire Hammer Squad in the distance. Let's go around, don't attack, Gao Feng said softly. In the desolate area of the highway, Luo Feng and the others were very carefree, killing monsters whenever they wanted. But it was different in the city. Luo Feng and his group finally arrived at their first destination, a small sector in number 0201 city, Blue Sky Sector. The reason why the Blue Sky District was chosen as the first destination by the Fire Hammer Squad was because there were 3 residential buildings up to 21 stories high in this district. Let's go to the rooftop. Everyone, be careful. A monster might pop out of the building at any moment. Don't make too much noise. The 6 members of the Fire Hammer Squad continued to move up the stairs. Howl, a low beast howl resonated within the building. The 6 members of the Fire Hammer Squad slightly frowned. Wei Tai, who was at the front, said quietly, "It should be upstairs, be careful." Everyone held their weapons and were ready to attack at any time. And Chun-Gu, who was using firearms, was protected in the center. They advanced step by step. Luo Feng saw a 2-meter-tall lion mastiff monster with long fur appear from the corner in front of him. It was the size of a large military SUV. When this lion mastiff monster saw the humans, it immediately howled and rushed over with a gust of wind. The Fire Hammer Squad was currently going up the stairs, but the lion mastiff monster was diving down. Whoosh! Whoosh! Wei Tai and Wei Qing, who were at the front, moved almost exactly the same. They held a shield in one hand and a scimitar in the other as they rushed upwards at the same time. They almost brushed past the lion mastiff monster. When they brushed past each other, the curved scimitar sliced across the lion mastiff's front paw joint. Wei Tai and Wei Qing both used the exact same move. This caused the lion mastiff monster's 2 front paws to stumble and fall unstably on the stairs. And at this time, the spear Zhang Ku of the Fire Hammer Squad, who was behind Wei Tai and Wei Qing, instantly advanced. At the same time, the alloy spear in his hand whistled as it pierced towards the head of the staggering lion mastiff monster. Poochie! The spear instantly pierced through the lion-mastiff monster's eye and through its head. Hey-heh! The lion-mastiff monster unconsciously stomped its paws a few times before collapsing powerlessly. Wei Qing, Wei Tai, and Zhang Ku's teamwork was indeed exquisite. The first two helped to injure the lion-mastiff's front paws, causing the lion-mastiff monster to lose its balance. Then, Zhang Ku instantly struck with his spear and killed it in one hit. Zhang Ku's marksmanship was also terrifyingly accurate. It actually pierced through the eye. In the process of climbing the building, the Fire Hammer party had encountered a total of 3 monsters. Their luck was pretty good, and one of these 3 monsters actually charged up from the stairs below. At the time, Luo Feng and Gao Feng were at the very back of the group, so naturally, Luo Feng was the one who killed the G-grade monster cleanly. Walking out of the staircase, the 6 members of the Fire Hammer squad arrived at the rooftop of this 21-story high-rise residential area. Close the staircase. Shut it. Gao Feng said. Don't let any monsters run up from below and onto the rooftop. Yes. Luo Feng and Zhang Ku personally went to the staircase and found a metal rod to block the door. Phew, I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. A rare smile appeared on Zhang Ku's face. He sat on the rooftop and took out high-calorie food and water from his backpack. They all brought binoculars, right? Captain Gao Feng said. Everyone take out your binoculars and look down from the rooftop. See if you can find any commander-level monsters. Remember, don't expose too much of your body to the rooftop. If the monsters below discover you, it'll be a bit troublesome. The rooftop was actually quite safe. Normal monsters can't climb up from the rooftop of a 21-story high residential area. Even if a commander-level monster commands the monsters to attack from the stairs, how wide are the stairs? The threat isn't high. The Fire Hammer squad has more than enough time to escape. Begin searching for commander-level monsters. Brothers, let's find monsters. Luo Feng also took out binoculars from his backpack. Everyone brought binoculars, steel wires, and other tools since they weren't that heavy. As he squatted on the edge of the rooftop, Luo Feng could see the streets below him. There were large amounts of monsters everywhere. The amount of monsters in the city is indeed 10 to 100 times more than in the wilderness. In one of the streets there were at least a few hundred monsters moving. Even a warlord-level fighter wouldn't have a high chance of escaping alive if they were surrounded by a few hundred regular monsters. Captain, they're all soldier-level monsters. I don't see any commander-level monsters here either. The 5 members, including the captain, all held binoculars and looked down from different directions. Only by standing high can you see further. From the rooftop of a 21-story high residential area, you can indeed see far and see a lot of monsters. Ka! A metal box opened. Chun-gu, the only member of the Fire Hammer squad who didn't use binoculars, opened the metal box. Other than a large amount of ammunition, there was also a rectangular wooden box. After opening the wooden box, there were some gun parts inside. Chun-gu quickly assembled them. After a while, a 2-meter-long silver-gray heavy sniper rifle was assembled, and the optical equipment and sights were all installed. Chun-gu loaded the special bullets one by one into the magazine. There were a total of 10 bullets. Captain, notify me when you find a commander-level monster, said Chun-gu. Okay, go take a nap first and rest up. Leave the matter of finding the commander-level monster to us, nodded Gao Feng and instructed the others. Everyone be careful, don't miss anything. This is the easiest way to kill a commander-level monster in the city. You can see far from a high vantage point. This is 10 to 100 times faster than finding a commander-level monster on the street. It's also very safe. Luo Feng, Zhang Ku, the Wei Jia brothers, and Gao Feng all held binoculars and carefully looked down. As for Chun-gu, he hugged his heavy sniper rifle and started to sleep. Chapter 45. While the 6 members of the Fire Hammer squad were hiding on the rooftop of the 21st floor of the Blue Sky District, searching for commander-level monsters, On the broken highway around 30 miles away from number 0201 city, an elite 6-man fighter squad was also quickly heading towards the direction of number 0201 city. These 6 people all had a tiger emblem on the left chest of their uniforms. This was the famous Tiger Fong squad of Jiangnan City. The Tiger Fong squad had a total of 6 people. 2 of them used firearms and 4 of them used cold weapons. Of the 4 who used cold weapons, 2 were warlord-level fighters, and the other 2 were advanced warrior-level fighters. As for the 2 who used firearms, they were both warlord-level fighters. Actually, with firearms, as long as you had enough talent, experience, and time, it was very easy to get to warlord level. Because they relied on the power of their bullets. Old Han, did you find the old bastard's location? Zhang Zhe who asked in a low voice. This Zhang Zhe who was one of the 6 members of the Tiger Fong squad, and was an advanced warrior-level fighter. In terms of strength, the Tiger Fong squad was very strong. The 2 weakest were both advanced warrior-level fighters, and they were only a bit away from warlord level. According to the signal I left on the old bastard's body, the old bastard should be around 40 miles away from us. According to my calculations, it should be in the number 0201 city up ahead. A man holding a compass-like device looked at the device in his hand and said, "Finally confirmed the location. If we can kill this old bastard this time, us bros will be rich." The Tiger Fong squad members all laughed. Before, when they were hunting monsters, they coincidentally found a wolf-type monsters hunter. It has to be known that in the current distribution of monsters, because before the Grand Nirvana period, humans had the most pigs, dogs, cats, cows, goats, etc. So now the majority of monsters were pigs, dogs, cats, cows, goats, snakes, etc. But monsters like foxes, monkeys, scorpions, wolves, tigers, and leopards that mutated into monsters are very rare. Wolves, tigers, and leopards, because they were already very strong after this mutation, they were all extremely scary. Of course, some normal monster groups, because of their large numbers, will also produce some extremely scary existences. For example, among the cat-type monsters, there was a legendary existence, the 9 Lives Demon Cat. The 9 Lives Demon Cat was the most terrifying monster among cats. It had 9 tails, and its strength surpassed that of a Lord-tier monster. On the entire Earth, it was one of the most terrifying monsters that ranked at the top. Moreover, wolf-type monsters had a strong reproductive ability. Over the past few decades, martial artists would often encounter wolf-type monsters. Hunters were an incredibly terrifying mutated race among wolf-type monsters. They were also known as the kings of the wolf race, the Silver Moon Wolves. Each Silver Moon Wolf moved alone and loved to hunt other monsters and human martial artists. They were known for being cunning and brutal, so they were known as hunters. So far, the weakest Silver Moon Wolf has been discovered to be a middle-level commander. Each Silver Moon Wolf can be sold for an astronomical price. The hunter we're chasing should be a high-level commander, or even close to a horde leader. Fortunately, this hunter was already heavily injured before it fought with us. That's how we were able to heavily injure it again. The captain of the Tiger Fong squad, a skinny man with dark skin, said coldly, "Now that we've all recovered from our injuries and recovered our strength, this time we must seize this opportunity and kill this much weaker hunter in one fell swoop." Yes, Captain, the 6 members of the Tiger Fong squad were all filled with fighting spirit. Killing one hunter is equivalent to what they usually get in a year or 2 of hard work. In the blue sky sector, on the rooftop of a 21-story residential building, the 5 members of the Fire Hammer squad were all holding binoculars and carefully looking below. Luo Feng held the binoculars in his left hand and a water bottle in his right hand. He took a sip of water, then put the binoculars down and put the bottle into his bag. Only then did he continue to look below with the binoculars. "Captain, are we just going to wait here like idiots?" said Luo Feng. "What do you know?" Gao Feng put down the binoculars and laughed. In this area, this 21-story residential building is quite tall. We can use the binoculars to look around 4 to 5 miles from the rooftop. How big is the entire county-level city? Of course, because of the buildings, our efficiency isn't that high, but this efficiency is already extremely high. Everyone can rest and search for monsters at the same time. This is the best method, Luo Feng nodded. Captain, look over here, Zhang Ke suddenly yelled and pointed in a certain direction. Whoosh! The other 4 people all rushed over and each of them held their binoculars and carefully looked below. Luo Feng also looked in the direction Zhang Ke pointed. With a glance through the binoculars, he saw that on the streets of the northwest corner, horned boars and iron fur boars appeared one after another. There were at least a few hundred of them in total, and the number of pig-type monsters that appeared in his field of vision was still increasing. Luo Feng's eyes flashed. On one of the streets, a strange monster that was completely red like a tank was slowly moving forward. In front of it was a group of pig-type monsters. This is a bloodthirsty tank? Luo Feng was shocked. Among the pig-type monsters, they are considered the second most powerful existence, the bloodthirsty tank group. Even though they are called bloodthirsty tanks, they are still a type of pig-type monster. Their entire body is covered in scales and their defense is shocking. At first glance, they look like an armored tank. In terms of defense and charging power, they aren't any weaker than a real tank. It's a bloodthirsty tank. That's a big fish. Captain, looking at the color of its scales, it should be a low-level commander level. It's a bit close to a medium-level commander level. The members of the Fire Hammer Squad all started discussing. Yup, the price of a bloodthirsty tank is pretty high, Captain Luo Feng laughed. Even though it's only a low-level commander-level monster, its price can compare to some medium-level commander-level monsters. This is a big fish. Keep your spirits up, everyone. Old Chengu, his teammate's voice made Chengu finally open his eyes. Chengu laughed as he stood up. Brothers, did you find a commander-level monster? Come take a look, laughed Gao Feng. Chengu swiftly walked over and picked up his binoculars to take a closer look. He said in shock, F***CK, it's actually the second most powerful pig-type monster, the bloodthirsty tank. This guy's defense is shocking. Even the armor-piercing bullets I brought probably can't break through its scales. Looks like I'll have to use my treasure. Hurry up and go, bullets aren't worth much, urged Gao Feng. Chengu was extremely fast. He immediately rushed to the metal box and took out 3 blood-red bullets to replace them with bullets from the sniper rifle. Pu. Chengu laid on the edge of the rooftop and set up the silver-heavy sniper rifle. The gun barrel reflected light under the sunlight. Chengu extended his hand to sense the direction, carefully tested and calculated, and adjusted the aiming optics. The 5 members of the Fire Hammer Squad didn't dare to make a sound. Suddenly, purring, a low and powerful sound rang. In almost an instant, the bullet pierced through space and flew over. Even though this alloy armor-piercing bullet is shockingly powerful and has a speed several times faster than the speed of sound. But because the speed is faster than the speed of sound, the sonic boom only reached the commander-level monster's ears after the bullet. The bloodthirsty tank slowly moved on the street with a large number of monsters in front and behind it. Pu. The bloodthirsty tank's neck suddenly produced sparks on the back of its ear, and a hole suddenly appeared as the bullet pierced through. Yarg. The bloodthirsty tank roared in pain and staggered 2 steps to the side. Once it stabilized, the bloodthirsty tank immediately roared in pain and anger. Immediately, the large number of pig-type monsters that were originally roaming around crazily gathered towards it. Blood seeped out of the back of the bloodthirsty tank's ear. The bloodthirsty tank roared in anger, but it couldn't tell where the bullet came from. On the rooftop, Chengu slightly raised his head and moved his eyes away from the scope. He said confidently, "My luck isn't bad, I hit a weak spot. This bloodthirsty tank has a lot of life force, so it didn't die immediately. but in 5 minutes it'll definitely fall. The most effective shot in a long-distance sniper is the first shot. Because of the first shot, the commander-level monster doesn't have any defense. But if the first shot doesn't hit a weak spot, then it'll be troublesome. Commander-level monsters have a lot of defense, so it's already pretty good if the bullet can penetrate their defense. So most bullets are armor-piercing bullets that focus on penetrating power, and not explosive bullets that have high damage. Since if the penetrating power isn't enough, how can you even talk about damage? Good shot. Zhang Ke smiled and gave a thumbs up. This bloodthirsty tank's skull is the hardest. Even if the bullet pierced through the scales, it wouldn't affect the bloodthirsty tank much. Gao Feng smiled. Chun-Gu, that shot was really strong. If Chun-Gu's shot didn't work, killing a bloodthirsty tank protected by a large number of monsters would be way too hard. Stop complimenting me. Chun-Gu smiled. Right now you guys should think of a way to get the bloodthirsty tank's body. That bloodthirsty tank is surrounded by hundreds of monsters. And if you're too slow, who knows, a fighter squad might take advantage of it. Don't jinx it. There are at most 2 to 3 fighter squads in this city. Gao Feng smiled. Alright, everyone pack up. Let's go and get the body. Chapter 46. Zhang Ke, carry one of Chun-Gu's metal boxes, commanded Gao Feng. Yes, Captain. Spear. Zhang Ke walked towards Chun-Gu. At this time, Chun-Gu was disassembling the heavy sniper rifle and putting it into a wooden box. He then carried the wooden box and a large amount of bullets to Zhang Ke. After that, Chun-Gu himself opened the other metal box and took out the horrifying machine gun. A large amount of bullets were wrapped around Chun-Gu's body, and one end of the chain was directly connected to the machine gun. Luo Feng couldn't help but to be shocked when he saw this. High-level firearms are quite useful against soldier-level monsters. For example, the bloodthirsty tank that was killed in one shot. Actually, luck played a part in that shot, since the head of a monster that can be killed in one shot has the toughest skull. And the bloodthirsty tank's body is huge, so even if it gets shot, it won't be affected much. So, there are very few places where a bullet can kill in one shot. For example, the eyes, the bottom of the skull, and the back of the ears. To be this accurate, 1 is skill, and 2 is luck. If the bloodthirsty tank was a bit more cautious and changed directions, then that shot wouldn't have been accurate. Go down, commanded Gao Feng. Under Gao Feng's command, Luo Feng and the other 4 immediately followed the stairs and swiftly left the blue sky sector. 5 minutes later, Luo Feng and the others were already in an alley. The leader, Wei Tai, secretly looked outside and turned his head. Captain, that bloodthirsty tank is dead. Old Chen, awesome. Gao Feng gave a thumbs up. Chun-Gu grinned. However, Captain, continued Wei Tai, around the bloodthirsty tank's corpse, there are around a few hundred monsters gathered. It'll be quite troublesome for us to get the bloodthirsty tank's corpse. This is indeed a troublesome part of long-range attacks against commander-level monsters. Even if you succeed, getting the important materials from the corpse is quite dangerous. However, it's much safer than fighting a commander-level monster in a monster horde. Same rules, Wei Tai, Wei Qing, you guys mess up the monster horde. We'll attack together, commanded Gao Feng, and then turned his head towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng held his breath. Charging into a monster horde of a few hundred monsters is indeed the most dangerous thing he's done since he joined the Firehammer squad. Of course, according to some of the posts he read, this situation is only a relatively simple situation for fighter squads. There were things that were 10 times or even 100 times more dangerous than this. Luo Feng, follow Chun-Gu in a bit. Your mission is to protect Chun-Gu and not let the monsters attack Chun-Gu. Gao Feng said solemnly. Don't worry, Captain, I definitely won't let a single monster near Brother Chun, nodded Luo Feng. Alright, let's go. Gao Feng gave the order. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 black streams of light flew out from Wei Tai and Wei Qing's hands. They flew more than 100 meters like a bolt of lightning and landed among the monster horde in the distance. These two black streams of light were actually two elliptical black spheres. These elliptical black spheres also had a red time signal. The monsters that noticed this thing all avoided it cautiously. Beep, beep, boom! The two time bombs suddenly exploded. The powerful explosive force and the flying debris caused the two monsters beside the time bombs to tumble, their bodies covered in blood. At the same time, the two time bombs produced a large amount of smoke, which quickly spread in all directions. In terms of power, the two time bombs only managed to kill one monster and injure 5 or 6 monsters. Most of the monsters were just affected by the smoke. "Charge!" commanded Gao Feng. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Luo Feng also exploded all the power in his body. He held a shield in one hand and a ghost blade in the other. He swiftly sprinted beside Chen Gu. The 6 members of the Fire Hammer Squad were all astonishingly fast. They were only 150 meters away from the corpse of the commander-level monster in the middle of the monster horde, so they reached it in 4 to 5 seconds. And this is because their speed was greatly reduced when they ran into the monster horde. Ha! Captain Gao Feng was like lightning as he charged at the very front. He wielded a heavy hammer with one hand and swung it continuously at lightning speed. Pung, 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 2 sounds. The heads of 2 soldier-level monsters were directly smashed open. One was an intermediate soldier-level monster, while the other was a beginner-level warlord, fighter with the strength of an intermediate-level warlord. The difference in strength was too huge. With a heavy hammer in one hand and a dagger in the other, Gao Feng practically instantly pounced beside the corpse of the commander-level monster, the bloodthirsty tank. The dagger swiftly pierced into the bullet hole on the back of the bloodthirsty tank's ear. While Gao Feng was dissecting the corpse for materials, the other 5 members of the Fire Hammer Squad were in danger. "Hurry, Luo Feng, protect Old Chen," waved Zhang Ku with his spear. The brothers Wei Tai and Wei Qing protected Captain Gao Feng. With the bloodthirsty tank's defense, it would take Wei Tai, Luo Feng, and the others a long time to dissect it. And with Gao Feng's astonishing strength, half a minute is enough. Howl, ha! The surrounding monsters noticed Luo Feng and the others and immediately roared as they charged over. It was as if a heavy Hummer was charging over 100 kilometers per hour. F***ck off, Luo Feng's 2 exquisite steps allowed him to dodge. At the same time, the shield on his left arm fiercely smashed into the body of a charging horned boar. The horned boar's 4 hooves couldn't help but to twist as its gigantic body slanted and fell onto the ground, causing the already cracked concrete ground to shake and a large amount of dust to fly up. Luo Feng didn't care about killing the enemy. He only wanted to survive for half a minute. Xiao! Xiao! At this moment, Zhang Ku was brandishing his spear, killing 2 soldier-level monsters and repelling 3. At this time, 3 furious monsters roared as they simultaneously attacked Zhang Ku. Zhang Ku didn't have a shield, so he only used his spear. Not good. After swinging his spear, Zhang Ku's face changed. Howl! An iron fur boar's charging speed is definitely 50 meters per second. Its body is like a small truck, but its speed is comparable to a sports car. And Zhang Ku couldn't block it in time. There were 3 monsters attacking him in front of him. "I'm probably going to get heavily injured this time," Zhang Ku clenched his teeth. Pung! A black shadow came from the side and kicked the charging iron fur boar's body. Running at such a high speed does indeed cause one to lose control of their body. The iron fur boar's gigantic body tilted from this kick and it directly fell down. After that, it quickly climbed back up. "Brother Zhang, stay close to me," said Luo Feng. "Luo Feng, thanks," yelled Zhang Ku gratefully. If it weren't for Luo Feng just now, he, Zhang Ku, would definitely be heavily injured. Zhang Ku thought to himself, letting Luo Feng join the Fire Hammer Squad was the right choice. and his steps are so fast and nimble. Good technique, praised Chingu, who was under protection. There were at least a few hundred monsters in this horde. After a few dozen started fighting with Luo Feng and the others, even more monsters were quickly attracted over. Thankfully, the smoke blocked their vision, so the horde of monsters couldn't unleash their full power. Not good, Captain, hurry, Wei Tai couldn't help but to yell. Every second that passed, the Fire Hammer Squad's danger increased. The number of monsters around them increased rapidly. Chungu, fire, ordered Gao Feng, who was squatting beside the bloodthirsty tank's corpse and being protected by the Wei Jia brothers. Yes, Chungu licked his lips and laughed ferociously. Luo Feng and Zhang Ku, who were beside Chungu, immediately took a step back. As Chungu pulled the trigger, tu, streams of light crazily shot out from the muzzle. Every bullet was an armor-piercing bullet that Chungu bought at a high price. Even a warlord-level monster is a bit of a threat. Howl! Suddenly, a large amount of monsters in the surroundings howled in pain. The crazily shot armor-piercing bullets entered the bodies of the monsters one by one. These monsters have large bodies and strong life force, so they usually don't die after being shot. Only by shooting through the head can they be killed in one shot. These armor-piercing bullets can't pierce through the skull of a commander-level monster, but they have no problem shooting through soldier-level monsters. Pung! A monster's head and brain matter flew out. Pu! A monster that fell had a bloody hole in its body. Ha! Dai Chungu was like a madman. The gun barrel, which was made of Kuluo alloy, could continuously shoot armor-piercing bullet. The crazily pouring bullets almost instantly suppressed one side of the monster horde. Luo Feng and Zhang Ku, on the other hand, prevented the monsters from attacking Chungu. The continuous gunshots allowed the monsters in the smoke to instantly determine their direction and madly charge over. In a group battle, Chungu's ability to use a machine gun is comparable to 10 fighters. However, the sound of a machine gun would attract the attention of the monsters. Alright, let's go, Gao Feng, who successfully harvested the materials, let out a low roar. Luo Feng and the others immediately let out a sigh of relief. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 6 members of the Fire Hammer Squad sprinted away. Rumble, hundreds of angry monsters chased after them. The running of a monster caused the cement ground to shake. When hundreds of them ran together, it was as if there was an earthquake. The entire street and even the ruined houses on the side slightly shook and even let out a rumbling sound. The monster horde sure is scary. Luo Feng turned his head and looked. The hundreds of enraged monsters that were about to go crazy were rushing over. The scene was quite shocking. This way, the Fire Hammer Squad immediately turned into an alley. The alley was very narrow. The monsters couldn't even walk side by side, so they could only enter one by one. Taking this opportunity, the Fire Hammer Squad continuously turned into small alleys in the densely built area. Soon, the horde of monsters was completely shaken off. Half an hour later, Luo Feng and the others quietly arrived on the rooftop of the 18-story Hai Hao Hotel. Haha, everyone did well this time, laughed Captain Gao Feng. Chungu's shot was amazing. Captain Gao Feng laughed. Chungu's shot was spectacular. Luo Feng, you weren't bad either, saving Zhang Ku. Yeah, this bloodthirsty tank is a low-level commander. It's also one of the more difficult low-level commander monsters to kill. This time we earned quite a bit. Who would have thought that we'd have such a harvest on the first day? This is a good start. After a month, we'll probably earn quite a bit. Luo Feng, Chungu, and the others all started laughing. Luo Feng looked at his battle watch and was suddenly shocked. A phone call? Even if someone calls, this battle communicator watch won't disturb the fighter. Only the fighter can tell if someone is making a call or not by looking at the watch. My home phone. Luo Feng laughed and started a voice command. Call me back. Beep 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 beep. The tactical communications watch quickly dialed Luo Feng's home phone number. Chapter 47. Hey brother. The voice that came from the tactical communications watch made Luo Feng laugh. Luo Hua, weren't you having fun with that little girl of yours? Why do you have time to call me? Haha. On the rooftop, Chen Gu, Zhang Ku, and the others looked over and laughed. Even if you have a wife, you can't forget about your brother. The younger brother in the tactical communications watch chuckled. Oh right, brother. I'm calling to tell you something. Nan has officially agreed to be my girlfriend. Haha, your little brother is amazing, right? The younger brother's voice was filled with joy. How long has it been? His younger brother had never been so happy before. The charm of love is indeed great, Luo Feng thought to himself. My brother has been disabled for so many years, so he's always been under a lot of pressure. Being able to be this happy with a girlfriend. Luo Feng felt happy for his brother and immediately laughed. You still have to work hard and get your marriage certificate soon. Brother, we can't rush this. We have to do it step by step. Luo Hua giggled. Oh right, where are Mom and Dad? Asked Luo Feng. Mom and Dad went grocery shopping together, Luo Hua replied. Luo Feng nodded. Mother could finally go grocery shopping in the morning, and father could finally relax and accompany mother to the market without having to work. I'm fine. Brother, be careful when you're outside the Bay City, Luo Hua said. Rest assured. As the call ended, Luo Feng was all smiles. All right, since Luo Feng is done with his call, everyone come over, said Gao Feng. Immediately, Luo Feng and the other four walked over. We just entered the city today and our results are pretty good. As usual, the spoils of war will be distributed according to everyone's contribution in the battle. Once we're done with this hunt and return to the supply base, we'll do the overall distribution. Gao Feng's expression suddenly turned serious. But I have to warn you in advance, everyone must be careful. This was a densely built area. This was where the monster's nest was. In the entire city, there are a lot of commander-level monsters, so don't be careless. Otherwise, if you fall into danger, you'll be in trouble. Many martial artists die every year. Yes. Chen Gu, Zhang Ku, the Weijia brothers, and Luo Feng all nodded seriously. Luo Feng knew too. Martial artists who joined the government's army were the safest. And for martial artists like him who wandered the wilderness, the mortality rate was very high. Just now, everyone fought and consumed a lot of energy. Last night, they had been hurrying on their journey, and now everyone was resting. Let's start at 4 in the afternoon. Gao Feng made his decision. Yes. Roar, time to rest. The 6 members of the Fire Hammer Squad were either leaning or lying on the rooftop, resting. While the Fire Hammer Squad was resting on the rooftop of Hai Hao Hotel, the Tiger Fong Squad had already entered the number 0201 County City. The 6 of them were carefully making their way through a broken-down alleyway with collapsed walls. There were even some monster corpses in the alleyway. Stop! The skinny and short captain raised his hand, and the others stopped. The Tiger Fong captain said in a low voice, Everyone listen up. This time, we only have one target, that injured Silver Moon Dire Wolf. So, in this county, we must not provoke other monsters. If he could hide, he would hide. If he could escape, he would escape. It's best not to fight with them. It'll be troublesome if you get hurt. The other 5 members nodded solemnly. It was a Silver Moon Fierce Wolf, and it was even a high-level beast general. It's much more profitable than killing tens of low-level commander-rank beasts. Also, wait until we catch up to the Silver Moon Fierce Wolf. Remember, this Silver Moon Fierce Wolf is already heavily injured. We only need 2 or 3 attacks to kill it. I'll remind everyone again, no matter what, do not fight it head-on. If we really let the Silver Moon Fierce Wolf go all out, at least 1 or 2 of us will die. Everyone's expressions were serious as they nodded. Even if a high-level commander beast, and one of the royal Silver Moon Fierce Wolves, is heavily injured. Once it goes berserk and takes revenge, half of the Tiger Fong squad might die. We'll let it continuously get injured and bleed until it dies. The Tiger Fong captain smiled confidently. It's hard for a war god level fighter squad to be attracted to this level of a county. There are probably only a few squads in a county, and our squad should be the strongest in this county. Don't worry about people stealing it. Most of the stronger warlord level squads operate in the city level area. That place is more challenging, and there are more solo commander level beasts. For example, the Fire Hammer squad came to this county. One of the reasons is, Luo Feng is a newbie. Otherwise, the Fire Hammer squad would also enter the city. And not a county like this. Captain, if there really is a fighter squad and we risk our lives to steal it, frowned the one-eyed middle-aged man. Don't worry, Zhang Zhe, who laughed on the side, even we don't dare to push that hunter too hard. And most of the fighter squads in this county are warrior level. It's already pretty good if there's even one warlord level. If they try to steal the Silver Moon Fierce Wolf, they'll probably be torn to shreds by the Silver Moon Fierce Wolf. Okay, the Tiger Fong captain nodded. They don't have the ability to steal the Silver Moon Fierce Wolf. If someone tries to steal it, just kill it. Yes. The other 5 nodded. Let's go, the Tiger Fong squad waved their hands, and the 6 of them quickly and quietly moved forward. The wilderness is different from headquarter cities. Headquarter cities are cities that are controlled by humans. There are laws there. There are government controls. However, the wilderness is a place where monsters live. There are too many dark, chaotic, and bloody things here. Because of a monster's corpse, there are many cases of fighter squads killing each other. Of course, most of the time it's the stronger fighter squads stealing from the weaker squads. Many martial artists in the wilderness died at the hands of monsters, but there were also many who died at the hands of other martial artists. In the evening, after eating and drinking their fill, the 6 members of the Fire Hammer squad looked down with their binoculars. In 2 hours, we've already seen 2 commander-level monsters, said Wei Tai helplessly. Wei Tai said helplessly, unfortunately, every commander-level monster is surrounded by a large amount of soldier-level monsters. The city area is still better. Although there are more commander-level monsters in the city area, there are even horde leader-level monsters. However, the normal soldier-level monsters are mostly gathered around horde leader-level monsters, as well as the strong commander-level monsters. There are quite a few commander-level monsters that are all alone before Chungu had fired 2 shots with his sniper rifle. But this time his luck wasn't as good as last time. These 2 shots hit 2 commander-level monsters, but one of them didn't seem to be affected. While the other one was heavily injured, it didn't die. More importantly, they were protected by a large number of normal monsters. That's the bad thing about a county city. Even a normal commander-level monster can lead a large group of monsters, Zhang Ke said helplessly. But the county is safe. Gao Feng laughed. In the entire county, there are only 1 or 2 high-level commander-level beasts. Also, they are surrounded by a large number of normal monsters. We won't run into them at all. As for the normal monster hordes, with our team's strength, we'll be able to charge through them. I'm not afraid of suddenly being surrounded by a few commander-level beasts. In the city, there are a lot of commanders, so it's easy to be surrounded and attacked by multiple commanders. Luo Feng held the binoculars and carefully looked down. This is a commander level? More than 10 monsters appeared at the edge of the street. All of them had spots on their bodies. At first glance, they looked like tigers. They were from the Ocelot clan of the feline family. All of these ocelots were huge, and one of them even had 2 tails. Twin-tailed? Commander level? Luo Feng was surprised. In the Ocelot clan, 2-tailed is a low-level commander. 3-tailed is a medium-level commander. 5-tailed is a low-level horde leader. 7-tailed is a high-level horde leader. 8-tailed has already surpassed the horde leader level and is the peak of the Ocelot clan. And in the feline family, any creature with 9 tails is a 9 lives demon cat, 9 lives cat king, which is one of the most terrifying existences on Earth. "Captain, look, a commander-level ocelot," yelled Luo Feng. "Ocelot?" Suddenly, the other 5 people rushed over and carefully looked through the binoculars. It really is an ocelot. Ocelots don't like to live in groups, so the rumors are true. Around the commander-level ocelot, there's only 16 normal soldier-level monsters, laughed Gao Feng. "Brothers, let's get ready to move, just 16 normal monsters. I can take care of them all by myself," laughed Chenggu. Everyone on the team was relaxed. "Let's go," with Gao Feng's command. Luo Feng and the others immediately left the rooftop. This time, they didn't even open fire. They were afraid that they wouldn't be able to kill the ocelot and scare it away. A commander-level monster with only a dozen underlings is very rare in a small county. Chapter 48. Luo Feng followed the 5 old members of the Fire Hammer Squad and quietly jumped over the wall into a residential area's courtyard on the side of the street. This residential area's dilapidated walls had already collapsed in more than 10 places. The concrete road in the residential area was already covered in weeds, and moss was growing at the corners of the walls. "The fat sheep is right in front." Wei Tai looked at the street outside through the gap in the collapsed wall. "We're in luck. The ocelot is leisurely looking for prey with its underlings." Luo Feng also looked through the crack in the wall. About 50 meters away from the street, the commander-level ocelot was leading a group of ocelots. "Brothers, remember this," Gao Feng said in a low voice. In a bit, your job is to kill the normal ocelots. As for the commander-level ocelot, stay away from it to avoid getting caught up in it. Just leave it to me. I can deal with a low-level commander-level ocelot by myself. Secondly, Chenggu, your machine gun doesn't need to fire. It's not too late to open fire if something unexpected happens. Once we open fire, we must immediately escape the battlefield. Understood. Luo Feng and the others nodded seriously. Gunshots could easily attract monsters. If it had been on the balcony of a tall building and was far away, the monster would not have been able to rely on its ears to determine the location of the gunshots. However, in a fight on flat ground, it would be easy to be exposed once a shot was fired. Very soon, he would attract a large number of monsters to surround him. The longer he stayed, the more monsters he would attract. Last time, when they snatched the bloodthirsty tank's corpse, everyone immediately ran for their lives as soon as Chenggu opened fire. "All right, we have to end this battle quickly. Go." Gao Feng waved his hand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 6 figures dashed out at the same time. Even Chenggu had a machine gun in his left hand and a short knife in his right. The 6 of them turned into 6 shadows and rushed toward the group of ocelots. Roar. The leader of the ocelots, the 2-tailed ocelot, saw this and immediately roared angrily. The 16 ocelot monsters around it also let out furious roars. Their roars echoed on both sides of the street, shaking the heavens. One by one, the strong ocelots pounced on the human in front of them. "Kill! Die, you bastard!" Luo Feng looked at the ocelot that was charging towards him like lightning. He moved his feet and instantly dodged a meter to the side. The ghost blade in his hand used this momentum to turn into a cold arc of light and slashed towards the ocelot's throat. The pouncing ocelot howled and actually lowered its head, using its chin to block Luo Feng's blade. Chi! The blood shadow saber split open the ocelot's chin fur, and even the bone of the ocelot's chin was cut half a centimeter. This ocelot has fast reflexes. It's much faster than the lion mastiff. Once Luo Feng landed on the ground, a gust of wind came. The other ocelot opened its bloody mouth and tried to bite Luo Feng. Luo Feng held a shield in one hand and a ghost blade in the other. He took a step back and opened up some space. He then used his shield to block and stabbed with his blade in his right hand. The blood shadow saber cleverly brushed past the edge of the shield and instantly pierced the ocelot's chin in midair. Luo Feng fiercely pulled out his blade and retreated. Piu! Fresh blood sprayed out and the ocelot, which was the size of a calf, fell on the ground. Its body shook 3 times, and with a howl, it crashed onto the cracked cement floor. "Watch out!" A loud yell suddenly rang. "Rip!" Wei Tai and Wei Qing, who weren't far away, were instantly thrown into the air. Wei Tai's entire body smashed into the wall beside the street. With a rumble, the wall that hasn't been repaired for years directly collapsed. Wei Tai spat out a mouthful of blood as he fell to the ground. Howl! The twin-tailed ocelot that instantly knocked Wei Tai and Wei Qing away arrived in front of Luo Feng at almost the same time. Too fast! Luo Feng jumped in shock and immediately dodged to the side. Almost! Clearly, his dodging speed was a bit too slow. Right as the twin-tailed ocelot's sharp claws were about to scratch his body, a formless spiritual force instantly acted on his right hand's wrist guard. The sudden force clearly increased Luo Feng's speed by a large amount, causing the twin-tailed ocelot's claws to brush past his body. Chi! Luo Feng also did a ferocious slash. The blade slashed onto one of the twin-tailed ocelot's front paws. The sharp ghost blade made a chi-chi sound as it passed through the front paw's fur. Not even a layer of fur was cut through the twin-tailed ocelot's front paw. A commander-level monster's speed is too fast, and its defense is too terrifying. Luo Feng was shocked. Poochie! The twin-tailed ocelot landed on the ground, and its sharp claws created a hole in the old cement floor. Bastard! Captain Gao Feng, who caused his comrade to be injured due to his carelessness, suddenly charged towards Luo Feng like a bolt of lightning. His face was ferocious, and his 2 gigantic hammers smashed towards Luo Feng like a spinning windmill. And the twin-tailed ocelot didn't seem to be injured at all after getting hit by Luo Feng's blade. It turned around and roared as it charged towards Gao Feng. Pung! Pung! The hammers and the sharp claws clashed. Gao Feng and the twin-tailed ocelot both stumbled. Gao Feng exerted force with his left leg and pounced again. He didn't give the twin-tailed ocelot another chance to attack his comrade, and one of the twin-tailed ocelot's front claws seemed to have been fractured by the hammers, and it could only stand there with its 3 legs. Gao Feng actually has the advantage in a head-on clash. Rumble! The hammers continuously smashed down. On the rooftop of a 6-story apartment building around 500 meters away, the 6 members of the Tiger Fang squad were using binoculars to check their surroundings. "Captain, there are a lot of monsters around here. How about we reach the hunter location 10 miles away without alerting most of the monsters?" "It'll be very difficult," the one-eyed middle-aged man frowned. The short and skinny Tiger Fang captain also frowned. Suddenly, his gaze landed on the members of the Fire Hammer squad who were fighting against the Ocelot monster horde in the distance. "It's the Fire Hammer squad," the Tiger Fang captain raised his eyebrows. "They also came to this city." "It should be because they brought a newbie, Luo Feng, that the Fire Hammer squad came here," said the one-eyed middle-aged man. "That Twin Hammers guy is obviously Gao Feng." The one-eyed middle-aged man said, "The one with the twin hammers is obviously Gao Feng. Gao Feng's strength is truly great. He actually dared to fight a low-level commander monster head-on. I heard that his strength is comparable to an intermediate-level warlord fighter. However, his speed is a bit slower." "He's definitely not weak." Zhang Zehu, who was carrying a gigantic machete on his back, had his eyes light up. He picked up his binoculars and looked in that direction. He couldn't help but to say with joy, "It really is the Fire Hammer squad. That Luo Feng punk is also here, and he seems to be doing quite well." "Captain, it's this bastard that made me lose 100 million, said Zhang Zehu. "Let's take this opportunity to kill him." 100 million, even to Zhang Zehu, is a huge amount of money. Since he's only an advanced warrior, he only earned 100 million after risking his life for 2 years. Kill him? The other members of the squad were slightly surprised. The Tiger Fang captain slightly frowned, then laughed. "Good idea. Xiao, Dong, you two use your sniper rifles to deal with the important members of the Fire Hammer squad. Then, immediately open fire at the two monster hordes. We're far away, so if we suddenly shoot, the monsters won't be able to tell where the bullets are coming from. These regular monsters have low intelligence. Once they get hit, they'll only furiously attack any human they see. Laughed the Tiger Fong captain coldly. At that time, the other two monster hordes around this street will quickly be attracted by the Firehammer squad and surround them. A large-scale battle will cause a large amount of monsters to gather there, which will cause the monsters in other areas to become sparse. This way we can easily pass through a few miles. The other members of the Tiger Fong squad went silent. They've done things to other fighters before. However, they usually do it to steal the monster's corpse. And this time, Dong, help me aim at that Luo Feng and kill him in one shot. Help me vent my anger, said Zhang Zhe, who as he clenched his teeth. Do it, ordered the Tiger Fong captain. Yes, captain, the two members with firearms didn't hesitate anymore. They've experienced killing monsters and killing people on the border of life and death. Humph! Luo Feng Zhang Zhe, who stood at the edge of the balcony and let out a cold smile as he watched the members of the Firehammer squad successfully kill the twin-tailed ocelot. If you dare to mess with my money, then I'll take your life. Go regret it in hell. And the two sniper rifles were already set up. The two firearms members laid in front of the sniper rifles. They both chose to use special high-power armor-piercing bullets and started to aim, adjust the angle, etc. In just an instant, the two of them slightly nodded towards the Tiger Fong captain, indicating that they were ready. Hoo! The Tiger Fong captain waved his hand. The two members pulled the trigger at the same time. Pung! Pung! Two low sounds suddenly rang. Two bullets instantly tore through the air and shot towards the members of the Firehammer squad, who were dissecting the twin-tailed ocelot's corpse. Even though the sound was loud, the speed of the bullets was a few times faster than the speed of sound. The members of the Firehammer squad didn't even hear the sound and the bullets already arrived. Chapter 49. The tendon in the ocelot monster's tail is worth a lot of money. Luo Feng's ghost blade made a chi sound as it sliced open the ocelot monster's tail and took out the transparent tendon. He looked at Wei Tai on the side and laughed. Brother Tai sure is Brother Tai. When the twin-tailed ocelot rammed into you, you almost spat out blood and scared me. But now it looks like Brother Tai is fine. Are you stupid? If you don't spit out blood, are you going to hold on? That'll cause more damage. Wei Tai laughed as he scolded. Alright, hurry up and collect them one by 1 inch, laughed Chengu. The 6 members of the Firehammer squad were in a good mood. Captain Gao Feng squatted next to the twin-tailed ocelot's corpse as he dissected it. Of course, the twin-tailed ocelot's corpse is the hardest to dissect. Luo Feng brought luck to our squad. On the first day, we killed 2 commander-level monsters, laughed Gao Feng as he dissected. Haha, Captain, you have to reward me for this. I was the one who pushed for Luo Feng to come in, laughed Chengu. The group of people laughed happily. Chem? As if his tail was on fire, Luo Feng's eyes instantly widened. With Luo Feng's reaction speed, which allowed him to dodge a large amount of rubber bullets in the reaction speed test, he could almost instinctively determine the blurry image that caused the air to vibrate was a bullet. Its speed was more than 10 times faster than the rubber bullets in the reaction speed test. Luo Feng didn't even have time to yell. The extreme nervousness caused Luo Feng's body to instantly produce large amounts of adrenaline. His heart rate increased to a shocking rate, all the hairs on his body stood up, and his nerves were stretched to an unprecedented limit. Even the spiritual force in his realm of consciousness quickly spread out and covered his entire body. A life-or-death crisis. A human's survival instinct caused Luo Feng's entire body and spirit to instantly reach their peak. Pu. The armor-piercing bullet tore through the air and shot towards Luo Feng's head. Luo Feng's ghost blade, which he used to cut open the ocelot's tail, almost reflexively swung it away. His entire body's strength was pushed to its limit, and his waist, which was the center of his body's strength, was able to instantly unleash a second wave of strength after unleashing the first wave. When the conditions are right, success will follow. In the face of a life or death crisis, when his spirit and body reach their peak, Luo Feng's body naturally released a second wave of energy. 9-stage Thunderblade, first stage. He actually succeeded just like that. Bloody Shadow Saber's speed skyrocketed. Speed up. Luo Feng's spiritual force instinctively acted on his blade, causing it to speed up even more. Slow down. His spiritual force didn't hesitate at all and directly acted on the armor-piercing bullet that was flying towards him. The speed of the armor-piercing bullet dropped from 4 times the speed of sound to 1 times the speed of sound. With a clang sound, Luo Feng's ghost blade directly struck the armor-piercing bullet. The tip of the armor-piercing bullet caved in, and the entire bullet bounced off. Pung! The other armor-piercing bullet was shot towards Captain Gao Feng's head. According to the Tiger Fang squad's plan, Zhang Zhe, whose goal was to kill Luo Feng, and the strongest member of the Fire Hammer squad was Gao Feng, so these 2 bullets were prepared for Luo Feng and Gao Feng. Gao Feng, who was squatting next to the body of the double-tailed ocelot, had his back to the bullet, so he didn't see the armor-piercing bullet at all. Pooh! The dagger in Gao Feng's hand suddenly cut open the ocelot's fur. The sudden force caused his body to sway, and the bullet that was originally aimed at his head suddenly missed. Just as he was about to marvel at the toughness of the ocelot's fur, whoosh! The extremely fast armor-piercing bullet flew past Gao Feng's ear, and the strong air current caused Gao Feng's ear to instantly bleed. Pung! The armor-piercing bullet fiercely shot into Zhang Ke's shoulder, who was next to Gao Feng. That shot, which was enough to burst open a low-level commander's armor, instantly shattered the muscles and bones in Zhang Ke's shoulder. With a boom, Zhang Ke's right arm was sent flying, and with a poochie sound, fresh blood sprayed out like water. Ah! Zhang Ke screamed in pain. A sniper rifle bullet. Gao Feng looked at the fresh blood that sprayed out of Zhang Ke's broken arm, which even sprayed onto Gao Feng. This caused Gao Feng's eyes to turn red and he roared, "Enemy attack! Which bastard is it?" Wei Tai and Wei Qing also roared. As they roared in anger, almost everyone in the Fire Hammer squad moved quickly. No one dared to stand still when a sniper was aiming at them. Just now, the Captain Gao Feng had been lucky enough to let the bullet graze his ear because his body had swayed when he had used too much force to cut his fur. Pung! 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 4 consecutive gunshots. Over there. Gao Feng, Luo Feng, and the others all stared in the direction of the gunshots with red eyes. On the distant rooftop, a few shadows flashed and disappeared. "It's the Tiger Fang squad," said Gao Feng as he clenched his teeth. "Tiger Fang!" Luo Feng couldn't see it clearly. The distance was so far, and the Tiger Fang squad disappeared in an instant. To see it clearly requires amazing eyesight, and a fighter's hearing and eyesight increase along with their fitness level. Out of the 6 members of the Fire Hammer squad, Captain Gao Feng's fitness level is close to that of an intermediate-level warlord. He was the only one who could see it clearly. Tiger Fang squad? The Tiger Fang squad that Zhang Zhe who is in? Luo Feng couldn't help but to be furious. Of course, he did some research on this Zhang Zhe who and knew that Zhang Zhe who was a member of the Tiger Fang squad. He actually wants to kill me? Ice cold. Luo Feng truly felt that fighters don't get along well with each other. Zhang Ku! Old Zhang! Everyone surrounded him. Luo Feng also ran to Zhang Ke's side. Zhang Ke's face was pale as he laid on the ground. His right shoulder was completely shattered by the armor-piercing bullet, and his right arm flew off a long time ago. Even the battle uniform on his body had some crack. The power of this shot was way too great. Zhang Ke's face was pale as Chen Gu hurriedly helped to stop the bleeding. "It's me, Zhang Ke. You took this shot for me." Zhang Ke covered his ears. Brother Zhang. Luo Feng also clenched his fists and his eyes were red. It was Brother Zhang and Brother Chen who brought him into the Fire Hammer Squad. Not good. Gao Feng's face changed. Run. Just now, the Tiger Fang squad shot a total of 6 bullets. 2 of them were shot towards Luo Feng and Gao Feng, while the other 4 were shot towards the surrounding monsters. At this time, the angry roars of the monsters resounded in the surroundings. Everyone in the Fire Hammer Squad immediately understood why the Tiger Fang squad shot 4 more bullets. So devious, they're going to kill all of us, hurry and run. Wei Qin carried Zhang Ku, who had lost a lot of blood, and the group immediately sprinted. Rumble, a large amount of iron fur boars appeared on the street in front of them. Each of the iron fur boars was huge, and when a few hundred of them ran over, it was as if there was an earthquake. Everyone in the Fire Hammer Squad was shocked. Right when they were about to change direction, a huge tremor came from behind them. An even more shocking amount of monsters ran over. Not only were there horned boars in this monster horde, but there were also lion mastiff. There were over 1,000 monsters in this monster horde. We're in big trouble. The faces of everyone in the Fire Hammer Squad changed. Climb over the wall, commanded Gao Feng. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The Fire Hammer Squad swiftly climbed over the broken wall. At this time, the monsters, who were infuriated by the 4 bullets from the sniper rifle, only knew that only humans have these devious and terrifying hidden weapons. When they saw the humans climb over the wall, they were almost in unison. Rumble! The horned wild boars lowered their heads and slammed into the wall. The wall, which had been exposed to the elements for decades, collapsed almost instantly. More than 1,000 monsters rushed towards them in a dense horde. The Fire Hammer Squad turned around and their faces couldn't help but to change. Brothers, we're going to die this time. Let's run for our lives. If we can survive, then we'll all die for sure. As they ran, Captain Gao Feng yelled with red eyes, "This fucking Tiger Fang squad, if I, Gao Feng, don't die this time, I'll make them pay with their blood. Everyone scatter and run." Wei Tai and Wei Qin also clenched their teeth. When surrounded by more than 1,000 monsters, even a warrior-level expert could only flee pathetically. Tiger Fang Squad, Zhang Zhe-hu. Luo Feng had a feeling that the other side's attack this time was probably because he forced Zhang Zhe-hu to spend 100 million last time. The Tiger Fang Squad wouldn't attack for no reason? Could it be because of me? Because of me, Brother Zhang is like this? Luo Feng's heart was filled with guilt and killing intent. Zhang Zhe-hu. Tiger Fang Squad. Luo Feng's eyes were red. "Captain, Brother Chen," roared Luo Feng. This roar caused Captain Gao Feng, the Wei Jia brothers, Chen Gu, and the others to look at Luo Feng in shock. Luo Feng clenched his teeth and roared, "Follow me! We can all leave here alive!" With a hoo-hoo sound, the throwing knives on Luo Feng's thigh instantly flew up and hovered around Luo Feng. Chapter 50. Gao Feng, the Wei Jia brothers, Chen Gu, and the others, who originally thought that they were going to die, were all stunned when they saw 6 throwing knives hovering around Luo Feng's body. Chen Gu even fiercely blinked twice. Indeed, they didn't see wrong. These throwing knives were indeed hovering without anything supporting them. Spirit Reader. Telekinesis. Luo Feng's a spirit reader. Various thoughts popped up in Gao Feng and the others' heads. They were all so excited that their faces were flushed red. Gao Feng even yelled, "Listen to Luo Feng, follow Luo Feng." Rumble, the crazed monster horde started running, causing the broken cement ground to split open. Even the broken buildings on the side were shaken to the point that powder fell off. There's an old saying, 10,000 horses galloping, but every single monster here is 10 to 100 times stronger than the warhorses of the past. Over 1,000 monsters galloping is even scarier than 10,000 horses galloping. Left! Luo Feng yelled. Immediately, the other members of the Fire Hammer Squad followed Luo Feng and fiercely charged towards the left. Wei Qin was carrying Zhang Ku, who had lost a lot of blood. Roar, howl, the stench of a monster spread out. Because they didn't run away and instead ran towards the left, Luo Feng's group instantly collided with the monster horde that was chasing after them. The stench of the monster horde filled their noses. At this time, Luo Feng clenched his teeth and his gaze was cold. The 6 throwing knives that were hovering around him instantly moved. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 6 throwing knives instantly became illusions. Poochie! The throwing knife directly pierced through the head of a charging lion mastiff. Brain matter also flew out along with the throwing knife. And this throwing knife, under the control of spiritual force, instantly pierced through another monster's head at an astonishing speed. 6 throwing knives. In the blink of an eye, the 30 or so monsters closest to Luo Feng's group all had their heads pierced through. Fresh blood and brain matter flew everywhere. Howl, rumble, amidst the shrill roars of the beasts, the 30 or so monsters that were running at top speed all collapsed with a loud bang. When they collapsed, they even slid along the ground for more than 10 meters due to the inertia. For a moment, the Fire Hammer squad was left with a large number of monster corpses on the ground behind them. Gao Feng, Chun Gu, the Wei brothers, and the pale-faced Zhang Ku were all shocked. They already knew that spirit readers were very strong, but this was too abnormal. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Each of the 6 flying knives transformed into a stream of light. As long as there was a monster within a 20-meter radius, it would be instantly pierced through its head. This precise control was also very frightening. This rate of consumption of spiritual force is way too fast. Luo Feng was also shocked. Every time the throwing knife pierced the monster's head, it would consume quite a bit of energy. The skulls of these monsters were much harder than ordinary mountain rocks. Now that he had only killed more than 50 monsters in one go, he had consumed a lot of spirit power. Chun Gu, who was behind Luo Feng, yelled in shock, "Damn, this spirit reader is too sick. Even if there are 1,000 monsters, we can kill them all." "Don't talk nonsense, it's such a big commotion. The longer we drag this out, the more monsters we'll attract. Right now there's 1,000 and in a bit, there'll be 5,000 monsters surrounding us. If we drag this out, there might even be 10,000 monsters surrounding us. And there'll be quite a few commander-level monsters among them. How do you kill spirit readers? Do you think that spirit readers don't need to use their spiritual force to kill monsters?" Gao Feng laughed as he scolded. The Fire Hammer squad was still in the mood to chat under the attack of the monsters. One can imagine that Gao Feng, Chun Gu, and the others weren't under any pressure at all. All the monsters were killed by the flying throwing knives. "Climb over the wall," commanded Luo Feng. The sprinting Fire Hammer squad arrived in front of a wall and jumped over it one by one. Even though quite a few monsters died in the horde behind them, the monsters were all crazily bloodthirsty and weren't afraid of death. They howled as they continued to charge forward, but the sprinting Fire Hammer squad had their heads pierced through. Any monster that approached Luo Feng's throwing knife domain had their heads pierced. Note: as of now, Luo Feng's body fitness level has barely reached the boundary of an advanced level warrior. His spiritual force is usually 2 levels higher than his body fitness level. Then, his spiritual force has reached the bottom line of an intermediate level warlord. Spirit readers are the scariest existences among fighters. They can easily kill existences of the same level. With his telekinesis, Luo Feng can stay far away from the monsters and use his throwing knives to stab them to death. However, as of now, Luo Feng can only use 2 throwing knives at the same time to ensure that his throwing knives are at their strongest. The more throwing knives he uses, the weaker the power of each throwing knife becomes. Indeed, Luo Feng can use hundreds of throwing knives at once, but not only will the power decrease, but he won't even be able to guarantee his accuracy. With 6 throwing knives, Luo Feng can guarantee that each throwing knife can deal with a low-level commander-level monster, and his accuracy can also be guaranteed. With 2 throwing knives, Luo Feng can guarantee that they can deal with an intermediate-level commander-level monster. Rumble, the fearless monsters smashed through the wall. Poochie! Poochie! As soon as they got close to the sprinting Fire Hammer squad, the monsters were instantly killed. Fresh blood and brain matter flew everywhere, and the corpses of the monsters behind them fell into chaos. As the Fire Hammer squad turned a corner in the distance, they immediately lost quite a few monsters. At this time, the Tiger Fang squad has already run far away. The Fire Hammer squad attracted a large amount of monsters, which decreased the number of monsters on the surrounding road. The Tiger Fang squad quickly advanced far away. When they reached a new monster area, the Tiger Fang squad's speed once again slowed down as they carefully advanced. "What happened just now? You didn't kill a single one." The Tiger Fang captain frowned as he asked. "Captain, I just shot at the Fire Hammer squad's captain, Gao Feng, but that Gao Feng was dissecting a monster's corpse. Coincidentally, he was using his dagger, so his body tilted and the armor-piercing bullet flew past his head. It heavily injured another member of the Fire Hammer squad, causing that member's arm to explode. However, I'm not sure if he's dead or alive," said the skinny A Xiao. "That Gao Feng was lucky." Zhang Zhe, who frowned as he looked at the other person. "Dong Zi, I told you to kill Luo Feng, how come he's not dead?" At that time, the distance was far and the bullet was fast. Only the 2 snipers with sniper rifles and optical sights could clearly see what happened at that moment. That Luo Feng, the sniper called Dong Zi, hesitated for a bit before saying, "His luck is pretty good. When I fired, he was cutting the monster's fur, so he took the opportunity to swing his blade and hit my armor-piercing bullet." This was the only thing Dong could say, since he didn't think that Luo Feng's reaction speed was fast enough to hit the armor-piercing bullet. Then it can only be luck. After all, to be able to hit an armor-piercing bullet requires a ridiculous amount of eyesight and accuracy. "Damn, this Luo Feng is so lucky," Zhang Zhe, who couldn't help but to curse. "But don't worry." The sniper Dong Zi laughed. "Our 4 shots from before have already caused the monster horde to surround the only human Fire Hammer squad that they can find. There are over 1,000 monsters. No matter how powerful the Fire Hammer squad is, they're definitely done for." "No." The Tiger Fang captain shook his head. "Not necessarily. If the Fire Hammer squad split up and escaped, maybe 1 or 2 of them might survive." As he said that, the Tiger Fang captain let out a smile. "Of course, just 1 or 2 of them surviving won't pose any threat to our Tiger Fang squad. Captain, maybe they just happened to meet a war god-level existence and can save them," laughed the one-eyed middle-aged man. "To meet a war god-level fighter in such a short amount of time in a county city. And to get this war god-level fighter to help. The chances of that are much lower than winning the lottery." The Tiger Fang captain grinned. "All right, let's all head out. That old bastard is still moving around. We'll catch up as soon as possible." "Yes." The Tiger Fang squad immediately moved forward. On the rooftop of a normal 6-story apartment building, Luo Feng's group swiftly rushed up to the rooftop. "Ka!" The door to the rooftop was immediately shut. "Hurry, let old Zhang lie down," said Chengu. "Get the medicine," said Gao Feng hurriedly. "With Zhang Ke's injuries, even if he bleeds, he'll die." Thankfully, the bleeding stopped just now. However, such a heavy injury requires some basic treatment. After all, the distance between number 0201 County City and the military base is a full 3 days' walk. With Zhang Ke's current condition, he needs to travel for 3 days? He definitely can't handle it. "Old Zhang, keep this in your mouth and replenish your energy." Chengu took out a pill and put it in Zhang Ke's mouth. "Wei Tai, carefully treat Zhang Ke's injuries," commanded Gao Feng. The members of the Fire Hammer squad were busy taking care of Zhang Ke. The pale-faced Zhang Ke's body was promptly replenished with energy, and his furrowed brows smoothed out. As the treatment continued, the members of the Fire Hammer squad gradually relaxed. Not bad. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. He looked at the pale-faced brother Zhang, especially his right arm that disappeared along with half of his shoulder. He couldn't help but to feel guilty. Brother Zhang won't be able to use a spear in the future. His career as a fighter is over. Luo Feng believed that the Tiger Fang squad's actions were most likely because of him. Luo Feng also felt very guilty towards brother Zhang. Tiger Fang squad. Zhang Zehu. Luo Feng's heart was filled with rage. I, Luo Feng, swear that I'll make you pay with your blood and let you know the feeling of being annihilated. Tiger Fang squad, these bastards, they're trying to annihilate our entire Firehammer squad. Chungu couldn't help but to curse. King Tiger Fang squad will definitely get revenge, howled Wei Tai. These bastards, Gao Feng, will make them regret this. Gao Feng clenched his fists and then looked towards Luo Feng. Thankfully we have Luo Feng this time, so we can. Yeah, Luo Feng, how can you teleport? Suddenly, the entire Firehammer squad, including Zhang Ku, who was lying on the ground, looked towards Luo Feng.